every one of the top 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden
special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimilla, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to another edition of the Adam Dunn Show. I am your host, Adam Dunn, and I missed that cue entirely. I did not know my headphones were not on, but oh well. So I didn't get to do my beautiful dab before. But I have a great guest in the studio. I want to introduce out of the gate. We've got Rachel and Ryan from Battle Lamb Organics. See, I knew I got close. I almost got it all.
Close enough.
And we got in the house Kevin, who's going to be talking up a storm over there. So if he talks too much, everybody just tell us, hey, shut that guy up in the corner. Got KTI in the studio. Got MTI in the studio. We're going to have another guest, Nick Canosa, is coming in a little while and talk about some pretty awesome technology that he is developed for little sustainable energy, and we're taking plastic out of the oceans and turning it into fuel and all that good stuff. We're going to talk about hemp in the beginning, CBDs, medicinal stuff. We'll cover all bases. And then we got James calling in from Mr. James Bean, Man on the Scene, 420, whatever. I have no idea how to call it anymore. He hasn't done it for so long. It's been weeks.
Yeah, it's been a break.
Come on, guy. So he's going to call in a little while. And then if you guys want to call in, it is 720-310-8237. Anytime you want to talk about anything, jump on in the conversation. We will do some intros. So let's start with you, Mr. KTI. How was your week?
I was good. It's another week skiing. So
this is it, though, right? It's over.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're
Season's
pretty much
over.
This is it. Yeah, it's over. It's I want to say it's Colorado's warmest year in 30-something odd years is what I was reading in an article yesterday. So snowpack's at like half of what it should be. So it'll be a dry summer, but
it's okay. It's a good. For me, it's awesome because it means you're going to come down to the show and not abandon me for some fucking snow bunny chick up there. Like usually.
I don't know about that.
That's what usually happens. Mr. MTI over there, I know you're off the mic, but you can just tell us, you got a mile? Look at him. He's like a nightclub singer. Hey, ladies.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. So how was your week?
It was good, man. I've been catching up on
I don't think it's going through the mic. I don't hear nothing on the thing.
You don't hear me?
Oh, now I do. See? You
sorry.
Get close. It's on.
No, we're good. Okay, cool. I've been listening. I've been catching up on like Radio Lab this week, and there's all kinds of crazy shit in there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I like Radio Lab.
They're great.
It's when I'm trimming weed. That's what I like. I can't listen to my own podcast. That's not going to happen. I mean, we tried. We listened to the first second or two.
Then some Bill Burr you crush.
Bill Burr, yeah, I'll do hours of Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Which is funny because when you listen to a show, it's like, wow, he really doesn't say anything, does he? He just kind of just goes on and on. I mean, it makes me think about my own show. Like, do I do that? Probably sometimes, but not as bad. Like, he's literally, well, that's the end of the show. And you're like, it didn't even, I mean, literally just ranted and raved about a bunch of shit.
We got to get you rewatching sports that you've already seen, like games.
Yeah,
first.
that's never going to happen. Never going to happen. So, all right. Well, did you finish your? I didn't even hear nothing. Did you do anything? That was it. You listened to some Radio Lab.
Well, I've just been working a lot lately, so I've been listening to podcasts a lot at work. And
I get. Might as well.
My deal.
Hype up the podcast. All right. Well, let's just tear into the first guest here, since we got all kinds of subjects to go over. So you're based in where now? Here in. Because you're both, okay, you're from Florida.
I'm from Florida.
Get on the mic. Get close to the mic.
I'm from Florida originally, but I had to come out west, to pursue the CBD, recreational marijuana and hemp industry.
And what year was that in?
2 years ago almost. Year and a half ago now. But I came to, with Ryan, my boyfriend, and we have a farm out in Wellington, Colorado.
And how long you been in there, Wellington? Is that also 2 years, or?
No, I've been out there for 3 years, bought the farm. But I'm from Fort Collins.
Bought the farm. That's an understatement, right?
Yeah.
And in Fort Collins, what were you doing up there?
I was raised there.
Mm-hmm. Were you in the cannabis game though? Were you doing weed? Growing
You know,
weed?
that actually got dropped on me. My brother owned a dispensary before. He's been in it for a long time, and now he's in another industry. And I've been in dogs, breeding dogs, and somebody just came out and pretty much said, hey, I can grow weed out of your spot.
Right.
And didn't, so I had to learn how to.
Sure. Well, breeding dogs is good because it gives you a little bit of a base ground. I don't know what it was. I got that extract in my mouth, like it is so strong. Like I got a little bit in there, that burning my throat. But no, it's for a lot of growers, not having any background into that. It's kind of like they want to breed, but they have no idea. So
Right.
genetics are the same, whether different, obviously.
Same concept.
Same concept though. But like my friend was a falcon breeder, and so he had such a good idea. Oh my God, my throat. Hold on 1 second.
Commercial break.
I don't know exactly. I got like a little tiny bit in. Here, have some of this dab. Put it in your mouth.
Yeah, you sold me on that one.
I want somebody else to suffer as much as I am.
Here, taste this.
No, it was really cool because to watch him as a breeder just like boom excel because it's just if you can kill falcons to go to the next level, you have no problem killing plants, right? And that's the problem with most breeders is you grow all these plants and you fall in love with them all and you have a hard time killing them and then you end up growing mediocre wheat. Whereas if you're really, really good at just like snap, 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 that's the only one I want, move on to the next level, you will progress, as a breeder at least.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with
Not that you're out killing dogs or anything.
right. No,
Yeah, we don't kill puppies, just for the record. Let's clarify this.
But just the idea that you understand selection in the first place.
Right.
So the growing was like thrown on top of you, but you enjoyed it, obviously.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely.
And were you even interested? Now, the CBD part, was that something that you came across and then got him involved with, or was it like was it kind of a? How did that all?
Oh no, this is all her. So
Okay.
basically, I was just in weed and dogs, and she came out, and she's always been in the medicinal part of it because of she has seizures and her dog has seizures, and so she's always been in the medical part of it. Started researching more and pushing me towards it, and then found a market for it, and because we were always. Even where we are at with it, we always wanted to start a charity to give like free cannabis juice to people with cancer and CBD treatment because we've always wanted to help people.
Right.
And eventually she came up with the idea, hey, this is actually also a business. And the more she brought it up, the more I started researching. I was like, oh, yeah, that's a hell of an idea.
Yeah, and it was in Florida that I kind of realized, the demand for it, the supply cannot even, be met. And a lot of people are uneducated out there. I would speak about CBD in stores, and people would come to me, like, out in the parking lot or something, like, excuse me, ma'am, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I heard about this, and they're whispering, this CBD. Is it legal? Do I need a card for it? They're just completely clueless, to it. And, after, like, 40 or so people just in Tallahassee, Florida alone are doing this, my whole family's on it, I'm on it, my dog. I'm like, okay, there's definitely a demand. What kind of products are out there? And I started going to all the stores out there, and I'm realizing these are just really bad products. There's hardly any CBD quality. There's no batch reports. They go through your system in gummy bears, which loses most of the bioavailability. Just going on, and I'm like, wow. Okay. On top of that, it's also really expensive. For the most part, that $60, $100 for a 2-week supply is what you're looking at for people who really need it. So it was important for us to create this company, on an educational standpoint, to educate the consumer, and give them an option of organic medicine that may not have as bad as side effects and stuff for a good price point.
Right. Well, I mean, what's awesome about CBD products and hemp products and cannabis products in general is that if you have good quality material to begin with, then it all seems to work great. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it works fine. The minute people try to like, oh, how can I do this cheaper? That's when there's a problem. And a problem with a lot of CBD products is that it's the source material. Like, so if people are buying isolate, which is like single molecule medicine, we've all kind of figured it out that doesn't work. It's like you can put it in there. It's not really going to do much. It might help slightly, but it would be way more helpful if it had other cannabinoids mixed
The full spectrum.
Yeah,
Yes.
full spectrum. And that's like the difference between full spectrum oil and distillate and isolate. And then you end up like, okay, it might hit all the numbers on paper and it might look really sexy and it might do all this, but it doesn't do the trick. You know what I mean? Whereas if you just took a tiny bit of regular cannabis or hemp, ground it up, mixed it up with some coconut oil and did like that worked really well. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's all there. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
actually, so 10% of what you did put in the other pill worked, you know what I mean? Compared to like putting in 10 times the amount and getting half the results. So,
Absolutely.
so how did you get source material? Because Florida must be one of those kind of difficult places to have good CBD accessible without it going on the market and buying from whoever.
Okay, so this is how Florida currently is. So we passed medical marijuana, okay, very recently, but there's some politicians who wanted to exercise their little red tape writing and did some little slick move where it's actually distillate only. There has to be a middleman in the process. We approved straight up flour for the state of Florida, but like I said, the politicians wanted to be slick and they passed something where it has to go through a middleman to make distillate only. So it's cartridges only. And so the state of Florida is actually being sued by this big power attorney named John Morgan. So they're going through the processes of that just for something that they already passed legally. The CBD is in a lot of smoke shops out there, still associated with the stigma, unfortunately, you know? So I started realizing, like, okay, there's a lot of people that are automatically not wanting to go near there, you know, because, like, my grandparents, for one.
Well, even here, like I see over on Federal, they have a head shop there, and it was like there was, you know, it was your classic. I mean, every single font and every color possible on the sign mixed with, you know, like one section was bongs and this and that, and then they had another door and it said CBD, tinctures, oils, you know, pretty much every combination of CBD. But it was like I looked over at it and I was just thinking to myself, like, that's where most people are probably end up going to get stuff because they don't. They think that that's going to be a good source, but you know that the guy running the place, it's like hit and miss. He might have something that's good, but it might not be good, but he's not really like, there's no way he's going to test every single product in there because you know he probably just grabs whatever's out there. Oh, it's CBD dog treats. Cool. CBD this, CBD that. CBD shampoo. I'll take it. You know what I mean? It's like, does that even do anything? Like, you know, who knows? But
I spoke to a lot of the owners out there actually too when I was kind of doing my research on the demand, you know, aspect, you know, just on my own. I was like, well, you know, I started asking them, where do you get, you know, your stuff and do you have any standards or batch reports? And hardly any even cared, to be honest, you know, and I looked at the price tags and they're still, you know, outrageous for what it is. And, you know, this is how CBD is getting a bad rep, too, of not actually helping. Well, no wonder some of it doesn't even have CBD in it, you know?
Sure. And there's really, you know, as we know, too, it's like the pens in general, you know, they're not really the best delivery method for anything that we've got. Right. You know, a joint works better than a pen. Gets you way higher, you know what I mean? It's like, oh man, you smoke a joint, boom, you're like, forgot your keys. You did, you know, all the old stoner things come back into effect. Whereas with a pen, it's like the only thing you do is worry about your battery, and if it's hitting right, and you keep, you know, you're constantly adjusting the pen, and so it's all tech stuff, you know what I mean? So you end up turning into a technician, a pen technician instead of a guy wanting to get high, and then it also drives me nuts too because if you have a group of people, like, so you say you're in Vegas or something like that, and you're like, hey, you want to go to my room, do some dabs or whatever? It's like, yeah, let's go. We all go up there, and it's like, fuck, I'm out of butane. You know, it's like we've made it so complicated. It's such a simple thing, you know what I mean? It used to be a rolling paper, not even a filter. Just a rolling paper is all you needed. You know what I mean? Now you need a filter rolling paper at least. It has to be a raw. It can't be a shitty paper. Well, that's mandatory for me now because I live in Europe, but also in general, the quality of the paper. Like if someone hands me a shitty white paper, I'll just be like, nah, I'd rather not smoke. It's
like
almost
a zigzag.
like, yeah, it's like eating. I'd rather not eat. If it's crap food, I would just rather wait till I get home and I'll eat good food.
Yes,
just like I'd rather not smoke shitty weed or weed that's in a shitty format as far as how it's being smoked. And so I think the biggest problem with CBD is that a lot of people are getting it from such a diluted form that they're never going to get the benefits that they should be getting, you know what I mean? And kind of like a lot of these things, that you need massive doses to trigger the things to work, you know.
And that's why we wanted to create a division of the charity to give it to people who couldn't afford it, and also price our product on a sliding scale so those who can pay more, you know, can cover those who can't, so
Right.
to speak, and stuff. Just because I really do believe in the product's capabilities, you know, and I want to make it affordable for people who really could see the benefit from it.
Well,
you
it's
know?
literally like, you know, the cost. We're finding out the true cost of cannabis now because people are paying $200 a pound and $400 a pound, and it's like, okay, so if it really was, you know, it always was not that expensive to produce, but the risk was the part you got to pay
Yes.
for. Paid for the risk, right? And now it's like the risk is gone, so all of a sudden you're just paying for the commodity of it or whatever, and it's just an agricultural product at that point, and it's starting to turn into that where we're like, wow. We're down at $800 a pound. That seems to be the norm. And once you have gone there, it's hard. Like, it's just that you've, like 2 years ago, you get guys who are like, I would never sell anything for less than 2,200 or some bullshit. You know what I mean? And now there's no way that guy could hold out that long. Now that same guy is saying like 1,200.
Right.
Which and if you asked him a year ago, like, you're going to go buy $1,000 cheaper next year, like, fuck that, I'll never do it. You know what I mean? But you have to once you see the system. And so the problem is that once people get there, it's also hard from a lot of levels to ever get it back up. So my prediction is it'll go back up to 1,300 to 1,600, and that's about as where it's going to stay. That's probably never going to go much more beyond that because everybody's been accustomed. Now everyone knows. Like, you can't. 2,200 is just outrageous to anybody who's just inside the scene. And it's weird because I'm a grower, so I'm also like, you know what I mean? Like, I am bummed as much as anybody else. I'm almost like, when you know, I hear prices of $800-900, it's like it hurts me. You know, it hurts me to know that that's where this industry is going. But it's also what we all dreamed of. You know what I mean? We literally dreamed of, oh man, you know, back in the day it was $300 a pound, and it's like, yeah, it is like that. If you go out to, you know, out west, you'll find some for sure.
Right.
So
the old brickweed.
So now it is becoming, it's just becoming more educated and smart with what you want to, I mean, from the commercial point of view. So you guys have now turned this into a business. So when you say give away or you give to patients for free, I mean, it's totally doable, especially it was doable up until recently. Now it's almost like, fuck, if you give somebody free out of something where you're already, you know, like people are now getting worried about that.
And it will be a business, you know, first beyond that. But of course, this is just something we're passionate about, is helping people and educating them, you know, and that there are alternatives, you know.
Yeah, and I think also the, you know, the patients that, like we were talking about earlier, the patients in Florida that don't even know they need this are astronomical in numbers. So from a business point of view, you're in a great state to educate people about CBD because they very much need it, don't know they need it, and the minute they find out how much, you know, it compared to what they, because the problem is right now you're going against insurance companies, right? So insurance companies are paying the bill for all these drugs that these people are on. So theoretically, you know, some of them have great deals but it's like it's a very bad deal. That means they get, you know, they're on all these pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, the interesting thing, have you heard about GW Pharmaceuticals
yes,
and
we
stuff,
have.
and how they've jumped into, you know, their own bid with the CBD THC combination of the ratio and all that? And doesn't that kind of open the market to the big money a little bit, jumping in?
It does, and it's one of those things where it's scared a lot of people, like, oh my God, am I not going to be able to sell my own product that I produce? And I don't think anybody should really worry about that because realistically, you know, it's about delivery. Like, one of the things they want trying to protect is their delivery method, which is their Sativex spray thing. So as long as you don't step into their exact ratio, their exact delivery method, then it's kind of like, what it does do is it gives them precedent. If they want to push hard, they can actually come after people who are using it from a medicinal point of view. But that's really, from a company point of view, to be smart, you should never claim anything ever anyway, because that's against the law. You know what I mean? So theoretically, the problem that everybody has shouldn't have, because they should just follow the regular protocol that you would anyway for any other thing. Because the minute you say cures or any, you know, you're pushing the boundary. So it's always, so from a health point of view, it's always wise to put it out there as a nutraceutical, which has got
Supplement
benefits, you know, fortified. Use those key words that don't really mean anything but kind of do. You know what I mean? Like, you know, because every time I go down the cereal aisle, I'm like, fortified with all these things. Like, wait a minute, what does that even really mean? You know what I mean? like especially when it's.
But at first it catches you.
Oh yeah, and it seems so real and official, right? It's like fortified. It's like armor plated with, you know what I mean? So I feel like that's kind of where a lot of the CBD products are going to end up going, where they, they can't say it does this or this or this, but they can put it into products that hopefully will work. But a lot of times they're also just, theoretically they'll work, but at the same time they're not proven. Like the cereal aisle, I'm assuming there'll be CBD cereals soon. There hasn't really seen any yet, but why not? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
sure, throw some CBD in the morning. You know what I mean? Will it work?
Right.
See, fortified. That's everyone likes that word. I'm telling you, fortified. It's like a Trump word or something. It means nothing. It actually means nothing.
Oh, God.
So, when you started this, you were self-medicating yourself and self-medicating your dog and self-medicating your grandparents, or your whole family. You're basically your whole family. But then, when did you transition that into like an actual business with him?
Well, so, I was already living in Colorado with him, and we have our, recreational facility and stuff that we do. It was when I was visiting my grandparents that I realized, my grandfather had prostate cancer that I mentioned to you earlier and stuff, and my grandmother had osteoporosis and just different things that CBD would definitely help treat. So during this visit, I kind of prolonged it as I was, going around kind of seeing the CBD demand and everything like that. And me and Ryan started talking. Well, I created the LLC out of there, and we were already discussing ways how to make it happen back in Colorado here. So we actually currently have a business proposal on the market for multiple investors to look at. We already have several on the line, and we're just looking to expand our business into the facility to create and extract and do everything in-house for our CBD production.
Yeah, I mean the what kind of manufacturing facility are you looking at? You have a place already, or you're
So on the property, because we're open zoned, we're going to put up a facility there, and we're hiring Elevated Research Solutions for some consulting on building a laboratory and getting all the right equipment, because we want to do it all right.
Yeah.
So we definitely want an on-site lab.
Yeah, no, it's important too. And you guys are planning on growing your own.
Yes,
obviously.
growing
Everything
everything
on-site.
from everything organic, everything on site, produce or process our own everything.
Sure. And then, I mean, it really is important at this stage where we're at right now, because we're in the kind of R&D phase when it comes to cultivars and applicability and what's, and really we're under this 0.3 bullshit, which should be, we say it all the time, 0.9 is a way better number. Actually, in Switzerland, where my friends live in, it's 0.1. Every lot of places that have kind of been through you've already been through this, like Switzerland has been through this already for a while. They all realize that 0.3 is like you're putting too much pressure on the farmers at that point, because you're limiting the amount of cultivars they can actually grow. And, like when you go 0.9 to 0.1 and that, or, 0.9 to 1, that range, there's so much more flavors. There's so many more terps that are available and profiles, and you could then literally, this is actually doable. I could even just quit tobacco and smoke this. I mean, it has a lot more uses in that sense. And I think within a few years it'll probably be like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure that because there's some states that are now figuring that out too and going like, yeah, we'll go 0.6.
Wasn't it Virginia?
I think so. I think they already said, of course they're tobacco region, so they're going to be focusing a little more on that aspect is what I would think.
But I mean, leave it to the United States government to screw it all up anyways and make it more difficult for anybody.
Well, they screwed it up in the beginning. I mean, that's the history.
Absolutely.
That is the history of this plant. Is pretty much like we have, and that's why I moved back from Holland in 2010. Was that I felt like, all right, you know what, we fucked it all up, and if anybody's going to fix it, it's not that we're going to that good at that, but if anybody's going to get to that position where they realize they made a mistake and then legalize it and then make it worldwide accepted, it has to be us, because we're the ones who signed every fucking treaty with every country saying that if they touched cannabis, we would fucking, not give them any money or not do any trade with them or whatever. And all these trade agreements, literally, that's the reason why cannabis has stayed illegal, because those are like international treaties that have been signed by all these countries, and therefore kind of like it, was a good excuse for us to never pull out, but also kind of just kept the ball rolling. You know, like those countries that never even had problems with cannabis turned it into like, oh, well, if America says it, then we're going to say it. So now it's almost like they're at the point where it's like, okay, well, they're about legal over there. Like, what the fuck's going on? You know, so those countries are obviously going to follow suit. South America, you know, all these places that are, they're doing it. You know, it's like we don't even pay it. You know, we're so focused on America, and with anything we do, we don't even look to the rest of the world. But it's going in everywhere. You know, it's happening all over. So it's, and the sweet spot, I think, and what you guys might have, you know, obviously noticed too, is that you can't, to do it in one state is really hard. Like, we're in 5 million people in Colorado, so it's not the greatest state when it comes to sales, you know. But when you start talking CBD, and it can go nationwide. I mean, you guys have plans, obviously, to since you're in Florida, the products from Colorado are being sent to Florida.
Absolutely. Yeah, to fill that demand in that, you know, corner and stuff too. One other thing I think we mentioned earlier, we're using nanotechnology in our product.
Tell us about the nanotechnology.
It's one of those fancy words like the fortified cereal, but actually
fortified with nanotechnology.
Yes.
It's already done, dude.
Done deal.
But it's actually not just bullshit, you know. It actually the bioavailability of it versus an edible or anything else that has to go through your entire digestive tract is just it's incredibly different, you know. What is the percentages on it?
Yeah, it was the bioavailability of the nano infused product was 97 to 100%, which is incredible.
Yeah, because it does, and it also once you
Go straight to your bloodstream.
Right, and it crosses the blood-brain barrier.
Yes.
Versus the 30% or whatever the highest would be, you know, the digestive tract. And it says that with the nanotechnology, under the mucous membranes of your tongue, it starts to absorb and take effect within seconds versus, you know, hours.
Right. Well, that's the other thing, too. I think when people see CBD work on like epileptic patients or, you know, somebody having a seizure, and like that, you saw that video with the guy with the roll-on on his bottom of his foot, right?
No.
So it was like, you saw that, remember? They had like the roll-on. So they basically took oil, CBD oil, and rolled it with a little roller on the bottom of the kid's foot while he was having a seizure, and it went like in 10 seconons later, it was already done. It's like through the bottom of the foot, you know what I mean? So you're like already like, that's crazy, because it's not like, you know, it just shows you like, that's it. Didn't even have to take it internally, just rub it on the bottom of the foot.
It
and
absorbed
then,
through,
And then, you know, it was a young kid, so it was like, basically they knew it would work like that, and they just kind of, okay, he's having a seizure, no problem, rub it on the foot, and then slows down. You're like, okay, that is literally like you could go into court and show some, you know.
Right.
Your job is to have a seizure in front of the judge, kid. Get in there. Try to squeeze him a couple times. Come on, kid.
Right.
You know, but in general, I mean, it was such a crazy thing because it was, you know, seizures are weird. It's like one of those things where you never, like when it happens, it's always like no one knows what to do, and unless it's like their friend. Oh, dude, he has seizures all the time. It's like, you know, but it's always a shock to anybody else, and
it's dramatic.
And the crazy part, it's violent. It's like a violent situation, and you know, people get bruised up from it.
I have amnesia. Like, I don't remember where I'm at, and I have to look for clues around me as to what I did. And this was all caused by the pharmaceutical industry. Like I was telling you.
And you didn't have this as a kid at all.
I never had any problems with seizures, and like we were discussing this earlier, but when I was in Tampa, I was head of marketing and promotions for a military supply company based out of Europe, and I had my first LLC, and I was just really excited to be working at like 21 and actually like, you know, doing cool shit. So my doctor took it upon herself to say that I had work-related anxiety and that my 5 hours sleep a night wasn't cutting it, and she wanted to prescribe me something to help with this and just take a little piece of it at night with my like 5-HTP and melatonin and all this, you know, natural stuff I take anyways. The first time I did not take that, I had a full-blown grand mal seizure in my sleep next to my best friend, and I had no idea where I was. I had just bought a brand new car. I had no idea what it was outside, and I was rushed to the hospital where they confirmed, yes, this was a seizure, and you need to go do neurological testing back in Tampa because I was visiting family, you know, in Tallahassee. And so long story short, they had me go through all sorts of tests, and, you know, anything from genetic testing to tumors and, anything that kind of seemed like maybe could cause these seizures. And I thought for sure it'd be something really serious. Never once did they mention maybe it could be this medicine. They found nothing wrong. I spent about $25,000 of my own money, and I said, you know what, I got to pursue alternative therapy. This is just ridiculous. Their only advice was to continue taking a piece of that medicine the rest of my life with hopes I could wean off of it one day. That was it. So I'm in the the pharmaceutical company's pocket financially the rest of my life, basically, until further notice. And I was like, I got to pursue something else. So this is how CBD came on my radar.
And did you completely stop that medication?
Absolutely.
So and then was it a situation where you had to like literally wean yourself off and have seizures just to get off of it, or does it like kind of?
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I was fortunate, and when I tried to do it as gradually as possible, and then I was incorporating CBD and THC combination and stuff, and that combined, I didn't have any in my final weaning process of it, thankfully, but I probably racked up about 25 to 30, and this put me, when I was a single female living alone, and this put me in the position where I'm taking a bath, and if I have a seizure, I could die,
right?
And I'm driving. What if I hurt somebody like by accident? Like, I didn't break any laws because the DMV and the seizure, it doesn't report, if you don't have them within a year. But still, it was just scary stuff you have to think about. And now I'm stuck paying, the pharmaceutical company every month on top of it, And I had no medical problems before at all. So CBD completely helped me.
And that's crazy because that's one of those things where, like, it's super sad with kids, but at least you catch it early and to watch for those things, you know what I mean? But when you're older and you never had it like that, it's like, like you're saying, driving a car, right, or in a bath, or, who knows, just whack your head on the side of the thing. And like I said, when it happens, people are always like, it's like when people do a big bong hit in Amsterdam and they would fucking turn all white and white out, right? And then you'd be like, if you lived there, you'd be like, oh yeah, no problem, give him some sugar. But the people that were with him were like, oh my God, he's dying, dude, he's dying. And it's like, no, he just didn't eat anything. It's like a totally different thing. But it is similar in the sense that it's so like instant, you know what I mean? It goes from like, you don't look really good to like, blah, like down on the ground. So and a lot of times when you're older, I mean, obviously you go straight for the anxiety part of, is it cancer? Is it a tumor? Is it, and they of course are going to never like look at the medical side, which is like, well, wait a minute, you're on medication would probably be the first thing you'd probably want to look at.
Well, they said it was just rare to cause that. And then I started doing my own research into medical literature. And it's not rare at all. You can have systematic withdrawals after a week of benzos in your system. And you can have those seizures. And once you have one seizure, you're going to have another one. You're like 95% likely to have another one.
Right. That's crazy. And then, I mean, the whole pharmaceutical game is definitely shady. We are going to do some quick shout outs. That's how we pay whatever bills we still have. Whatever bills we got now. Mostly these guys. They're my biggest bills right here. We'll start off with our buddies over from New Millennium. Just went over to the shop the other day, and we're going to definitely get them on the show soon. But in the meantime, the kid I heard has now started using it for his facility. Ooh. So there you go. If the kid's using it, I mean, shit's about to blow. Shit's about to blow up, right? But you can check out their entire line at newmillenniumnutrients.com. Check out their calculator for nutrient calculator if you wanted to set up a larger facility, even a smaller one. Helps you save money, buy the right products. Follow their easy to use seasonal based calendar, and they've got a couple different formulas. They got a pro formula on there, which actually adds like Budswell and a few other products that are, nice, old school. You're like, hey, guano, I know this stuff. This is easy. Instead of it all being just, the mystery in the bottle. Great amino acid based carbs. A few other products from them that are totally unique. Also their Ruby Fulvic, which is 9 types of, or 11 or 9? Was it 9? I think it's 9. 9 sources of fulvic acid, which is amazing because that's like the tippity top of the periodic table when it comes to your plants, and it's what they need. And sometimes it's those little differences. And when you hit them with 9 forms, you pretty much know that you've covered every possible base there at that point. You can also, just look back on some of the older episodes we've had with these guys and get some of the little tips and tricks. But I love that Ruby Fulvic, and then also their Winter Frost is another product to keep an eye out for. And our guys over at Incredibles Edibles and Extracts. These guys have pretty much laid down the foundation here in Colorado of what to do, how to do a proper edible company, and also they have tons of wellness products. They've got bath salts and CBD pills and mints and everything. Their whole line has expanded so much more in the last year. You need to go online, check out iloveincredibles.com to see the whole thing. Also available in Illinois soon, or now available in Illinois, right? Now. Yes, I saw it now.
Okay.
It's now. Puerto Rico, I think, was on deck. Nevada is already happening. California is already happening. So they are one of those brands that is taking it nationwide, which is the dream of the cannabis universe right now. Man, if I could have my own brand and go nationwide,
Right.
there you go.
Yeah.
Just check out Incredibles. They already did it. And you can go to iloveincredibles.com for that. And Build a Soil, Jeremy. Also, if you're here in Colorado or anywhere in America really, and you're growing organically, you need to check out this website. Check out the products they have online. A great collection of hard to find stuff. Also beneficials, things like any kind of IPM products that you might need. Jeremy is a super plethora of info. If you need it, just give him a call at 855-877-SOIL, and you can talk to Jeremy direct if he's there. If you're lucky enough to catch him direct. If not, any of his staff can help you out because they're all knowledgeable and they know what the fuck they're doing, so they will not steer you in the wrong direction. If you're into no-till, organic farming, any of these things, check them out and pick up some products that I guarantee you will not find in your local grocery shop. Right?
Oh, it's legit.
But if not, if you're still not convinced and you need to get the most effective mycorrhizal products, because you say, like, Jeremy, I know I like your stuff, but I'm focusing on the soil, man. I want to know about the rhizosphere. We need to call our buddy Ron Wallace over at
WallaceWild.com.
WallaceWild.com. See, I think of these guys to do something. WallaceWild.com. WallaceWild.com for the best in mycorrhizal products and rhizospherical products. And he's going to be, I think, helping us out in Vermont on this big old hemp farm project that we're going to be doing. So I'm hoping to see some 2,000-pound pumpkins and 2,000-pound. This guy's the man. He grows world record stuff. So if you need 2,000-pound pumpkins, give this guy a call. If you need 2,000-pound squat, give him a call. 10-pound tomatoes, give him a call. Ron is the man. And he actually, congratulations, Ron, for retiring from Canosa. I didn't even realize that he worked at the same fucking golf course that my grandfather was the head guard. My grandfather was the same job that he had fucking 40 years ago or something like that.
Wow.
So it was like, I was like, what? Quinnesset?
That's crazy.
You're the head? Wait a minute. That's what because we had like a little quarter-acre thing in the middle of town, but we had Kentucky bluegrass in a strip. Then we would have another kind of grass in another strip, and he had them all lined up. And he'd come out with his and like cut that bitch. And if a kid touched our lawn, he's out, get off my lawn. He was that guy, you know. And you go down the street, and it was like during a drought, everybody's fucking crabgrass dead things. My grandfather would be out there at midnight, watering that shit. He's like, fuck that fucking drought shit. So we always had like the green, like you go like, oh, you're the guys with the green grass. And they're like, yeah, that's us. You know?
That's my dad.
Yeah, they're out there. They're definitely that generation, I'm sure.
That's funny.
So you go to
WallaceWild.com.
Wow. See, I can never say it. It's impossible. Check them out. Tell them that you got, what was it, ADS? Did we have a code from him? I forgot.
I don't know if we have a code.
We did. I think it's ADS 420, but that's usually the one we throw out there. And if not, just say Adam Dunn Show. We'll figure it out. It's not like you're calling Nordstrom's or something. Which, I don't know what this coupon code means.
This is not in our system.
This is not in our system. And last but not least, and he probably might be even calling in the next few minutes because it's almost 420. And the Mr. James Bean, man on the scene, if you are out there listening to the show, feel free to call in and give us more updates. But if not, don't worry about it. You can, because I will handle it from here. It's basically the #1 site for genetics here in America, and for American genetics, like top breeders, like some guys from TH Seeds I heard about. They were all right. JJ, if he's not swinging on somebody, those genetics are fire. But you can get all sorts of guys out there, and let's throw some ethos out there if we want to start some turmoil and fights. But no, the best genetics, I guarantee you, every single strain out there has, if it's a good strain, there's a drama around it. It's just the way it is. Yep. So it's nothing new in our world. But if you want drama-free grow, you just pick up your own seeds, grow them yourself, and don't worry about it. You're not in anybody's wheelhouse at that point. Even if you pick up a little of this and a little of that, make your own crosses. We as breeders, we understand all you got to do is give us credit and don't F2 our shit. That's all we care about. Besides that, I don't give a fuck, and most people don't. So if you're going to do it, though, you need to start by buying seeds. That's the number one thing. And if you buy them from the Seeds Here Now, they're guaranteed, which is awesome. So if you fuck up, give them a call. Say, I don't know, these things didn't sprout, something went wrong. You'll get some replacements. Second time you fuck up, I don't know if you get replacements. At that point, you're like, you just might want to start a new job. you may want to move on to the next job. But you can go to seedsherenow.com or you go to seedaholics.com and check out their auction site. They got lost packs and last packs and charity packs. All the charities go 100% to the charity. So it's whatever you're buying, that money's going for that cause. It's not just a little piece. And I believe there's a big THC's blowout sale going on for our 25th anniversary.
THC's regular stock only $24.88.
I thought he said 25 to me for 25th anniversary. Jeez, you cheaping me out. You cheaping me out over here. All right, we'll go 24.88, whatever that means. But 25th anniversary, $25 any pack of THC's. Definitely get in there. That's good. That's a deal and a half right there.
And the code is ADSI. I got confirmation on that.
Oh, it is ADSI?
It is ADSI.
There we go. We have confirmation. I'm sure if you said ADS 420, it would have worked. It would have worked. Free shipping?
Free shipping.
Wasn't it free shipping anyway? Probably not. Who knows? Well, the free shipping is now free shipping. There you go.
Extra free.
Super free. Super free. But you can go on there, check out all the different breeders, about 35 different breeders from on their roster, and take a look online and see what they got. And if James feels like calling in, do it. We're still here. And that's it. Dun-dun-dun-dun. We did it.
Oh, yeah.
That was easy.
So we can't because if we pre-do it, it's so late. Like people are like, you should pre-make them and then do. I'm saying, but if I do that, no one will listen to it at all because they'll be like, dude, it's the same shit he plays every week. And if I pre-record it, I might as well just do it. You know what I mean? It's like one of those deals. So you got to get the service, the service. It's all about the service. So are you guys completely now that we're back to business, are you guys completely like self-financed, or you have sort of like, I know you're looking for investors now as you expand, but up until this point, has it been like a family run, family money, all that, or have you actually had the classic where, we partnered up with this guy and he was horrible and we basically got rid of him. Now we're doing this, and there's a lot of stuff. I don't know. This story, this is like a pretty small industry, so it's usually, it's usually like, well, we had this guy, and he said he could do all these things, and then somehow he couldn't.
Drove a Lamborghini.
Oh, that always helps. That's usually that's like the first sign.
Exactly.
Was it a rental though? That's
no, owned. But that was her first sign.
Yep.
It says yellow
Red
Lambo.
flag.
Nope.
Yeah.
Red flag.
Right. Well, there's the thing is that there's a lot of bean counters, and there's a lot of people just sitting there. Not you, James Bean. Don't think I'm talking about you. I'm talking about the real bean counters, the guys who, when you give them your business plan, the first thing they do is don't look at your business plan. They look right to the back, look at your financials,
the numbers,
and they go, nah, or they say like, I could rape this person. Okay, no problem. I'll do this. You have left open a very big rapeability here. You know what I mean? So now I'm going to jump on this, and I'm going to take what I can take, and then I'm going to leave you guys with nothing. Yeah. So I mean, it is. I mean, it's almost good that it happens. Almost because if it doesn't, and you think that's how life is, you're never going to ever get to you're going to actually not have the experience when you do get somewhere, because the next guy's going to do it. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? It happens in every level, especially because it's a combination of you're putting the money with the brains, and then the brains usually they do a brain drain. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how many times I've sat at like a dinner and been like, this is a brain drain. Aha, James Bean. Speaking of brain drains. Right on time. Yo. Is that Mr. Bean himself?
Mr. Bean, 420, man, on the scene. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I just mentioned brain drains, and you called in. I don't know what the hell's going on. You felt it.
I felt it. I felt like the symbol in the sky. It was like brain drain. Oh, somebody's calling me.
Brain drain. James
I
Brain
used to work for
Drain.
NASA, but not anymore.
So tell us besides the obvious THC deals going on, what's happening in the Seeds Here Now world? Because I know it's that time of year, dude. It's springtime. Shit's going.
Yep, I was going to say, I used to work at NASA, but my deals this month are out of this world.
Right.
So.
Hey, don't quit your day job as a non-stand-up comedian. But besides that, so tell me what the hell is going on in March? March Madness, right?
As far as the deals go, yeah, March Madness. March for us is like December for the rest of the world, I guess. It's kind of, we use it to like give back to the customers. It also is a good way for me to get some tax money up before April. But
that's beside.
It's true. I can't lie. It's true story. But what we usually do is we go ahead and kind of drop the prices on certain items, kind of anything that we may have had for a month or so or 2 months. We're kind of just moving it out. Any ones and twos, like Canosa, for example. He's got some great stuff when his new lines drop. We'll have all the Canosa lines. But in the meanwhile, if somebody bought something with like a money order and never sent their money in, then we've got a pack of, one-off of like Skinny Mini. We'll fill that back up, or Fat Ho. We'll put that up there, or Pie Ho, excuse me. We'll put Pie Ho up there. And, it's just a one-off pack. Nobody really knows about it. So with these, we put them up there and we make them for $78 and it flies. So it works. And then the nice thing about this as well is that it is spring, kind of like you were saying. And so about December, two months ago, when I was down there, actually January, so 2 months ago, we did that pickup of all of TH seed stock. And so what we're going to decide to do this year is kind of, I don't need to tell you, TH Seeds is a good brand. It's been around.
I heard about them.
Years.
I've heard about them.
Yeah, I think everybody's heard about them. If they haven't, that's another thing too. So people who haven't heard about them, who don't know, this is kind of a way to get them re-familiarized with the brand, because we do have a lot of new people on the scene who are growing and who don't know who MK Ultra is. And you're like, what? Really?
What?
Oh my God.
I know somebody in this room who knows what
no.
MK Ultra is. It's his favorite point. It's his favorite strain. Not me. Not even. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about me.
But, so this is kind of a way to get those newer people into some lines. But we got a deal with you. We worked out, but we're going all packs because of your 25th anniversary. All packs of TH Seeds are just $24.88. That's a 5-pack. Comes the guarantee and everything. So
you couldn't do 25. You couldn't do 25 for 25. It was too much. That was too complicated.
No, I gotta give him $24.88.
All right,
I gotta do 88.
Yeah, that's that 18-cent difference. 18 cents, man. That's
12 cents.
Or 12 even. See, I mean, don't let me add it. Even worse. Yeah, 12 cents, even worse.
Yeah.
So
really good at math.
Yeah, no, don't ask me for math right now. So that's awesome. And then you're doing other. I mean, it's not just a TH Seeds deal, right? You guys are going nuts all over the place.
All right, so we'll run down the orders and specials real quick. But as far as special goes, of course, enter the code ADS10. You get 10% off your order of all orders. Please use that order code, so that way, even if you don't want to save the money, just that way I know where my advertisement's going. Mm-hmm. So ADS10 on the code. The breeder sales this month, 20% off Homegrown Natural Wonders, Loud, Mosca, La Plata, and TSK. So that puts his packs at like $35 a piece. Mix and match those packs, 3 packs for $100. That's 6 breeders, probably 80 strains. Mix and match them, 3 packs for $100. Brothers Grimm, Green Avenger, Rosetta Stone, Apollo Haze, all $68. TH Seeds, $24.88. Exotic Genetics, Exotic's got like 25 cups the last 3 years, $78.88 a pack. That excludes the mint chocolate chip and the triple OG. Coastal Seeds, $78. Gets you some of the puck. Obsolete, Franchise Genetics, $88. Dominion Seed, I talked to Duke Dunn, Tommy's my guy. The 187 is going to be actually $88 this month. Dominion Skunk, $124.88. Unknown Profit, half price. But those packs are around $100. Melvinetics, half price. Bog, $88. Canorado, $78. Mycotech, $68. Relentless, $78. Motor Rebel, $78. Unity, $78. Thunder Fudge, aka Chocolate Thunder, $78. Gold Coast, $58. Gray Skull, $68. Karma, $88.
See, that's why I have you do this. So, too many. Too many.
Yeah. While supplies last, our distribution choice, and of course, the cart special. Buy any 6 of the old exotic strains of the last drop, and we're throwing in 2 for free. So it's a pretty good deal.
Deals. Well, that's awesome.
Deals, I got it. Plus, we got the new mint chocolate chip pre-sale going right now. We just the first batch of those go out today. That's from Exotic.
How many packs of those are going to be available? How many packs of the mint chocolate chip? Because that seems like that's going to be sold out quick, isn't it?
Yeah, that he's only going to release 200 packs of the actual mint chocolate chip F2s.
Nice.
But as far as like the Monkey Mints and the Wonka Bar, all those, we've got a couple packs of those. In fact, what he's doing this year, or kind of something special, is that He's going to throw in a trip to the exotic factory in every pack of the Wonka
Willy
bars.
Wonka style. He's going all Willy Wonka on you.
There you go. So there's a golden ticket placed in the Wonka bar packs.
Oh.
And that golden ticket gets you a paid trip to the factory in Seattle.
So you have to make
hotel.
your airfare and hotel?
Airfare and hotel, baby. We got it covered.
Now that's a deal right there. I was gonna say if you had to like make your own way there, it's kind of like, oh great. Well, now you have to make it there.
It's gonna be special.
No, that's awesome. That's a great deal, and that's and that's only in those 200 packs, and there's only one winner. Wow. You gotta have at least
There's
three
only
so you
one
can like
golden
eliminate them. You have to eliminate them as you go through the tour. That's the whole point of the Willy Wonka thing, right? You're like, and they never made it out of the trim room. I don't know what happened. They just shredded him in a twister at the end. Like, oh, what happened to the kid?
That's the new remix movie. So, yeah.
Well, cool. That's awesome to hear, and I'm glad you gave us the
And then, of course,
correct code because we had that all wrong.
Gray Skull's guy. How's the EDSI coming along?
Yeah, it's going great, and we are. We've sent out a few, and we're kind of basically the people who know, and the ones who haven't got their invitations yet are on the second round. So if you haven't got yours yet, you're on the second round. Like, what? I thought I'd be first. Well, that's we tried to get a lot of new people in this year too.
Very cool.
On top of the top people, of course.
But Gray Skull's doing kind of like the Ahi tournament, of course, coming at the end of May. That's going to be, I'm sure you've got an invite to that, but it's going to be his thing going on over in Hawaii, kind of like a breeders' competition, if you will.
Well,
but
yeah, you read
like
the article. You read the article. It was completely inspired by the Adam Dunn Show invitation. You saw that. It was completely
1,000%.
1,000% inspired by. So, and it is in Hawaii. So I feel like I have to be invited to that one because it's like, wait a minute. I inspired this damn thing. I need to be there. So,
yeah. And of course, yours truly is going to be a guest judge. So it's pretty nice. They asked me to come judge it. I said, well, yeah, I could do that. I've seen some cannabis.
Right. And what date is that? What date is that?
It's going to be the end of May.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. So then we have time.
Next calendar is get a hold of Gray Skull. If you think a breeder is worthy, get a hold of Gray Skull Seeds, Facebook and IG. Of course, you can get all myself, The Real James Bean, on IG, as well as on Facebook. We've also got the Sage Master Selects that we're working on.
Nice.
Those things, they've been flying. We're supposed to get some more of those, but they've been flying.
Nice. Well, let's we'll definitely be updating people on those. It's got a couple new flavors coming out soon too with that.
Very cool.
Yeah, nice. Well, thank you for calling in. We got a new guest on here now, so we're gonna crank on over to him.
Who's on now?
We have a friend of ours, Nick Canosa from Golden Energy, Renewable Energy. Sorry, I knew I'd get it wrong. I literally have never introduced anybody with their right name or their thing. It's one or the other because as I'm thinking of their name, I'm forgetting the name of their company, or I gotta get one right. So at least
you're consistent.
100% consistent. I never ever fail you in that. That's for sure. Well, cool. So we're going to talk renewable energy, and then we're going to also
super smart, cutting edge.
Flip back. We're going to flip back over to CBDs because that's always who knows. You never know which direction we're going to go. That's the whole point of listening to the show. So thank you for calling.
I'll tune in. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it. You have a good day.
You too, man. Peace.
Thanks, guys. Shout, gang. Bye, guys.
James Bean, man on the scene. That is our seed. That's like the biggest sort of biggest seed distributor in America, who's putting out all really top quality U.S. genetics. Just so you know who you're sitting in with. So, Mr. Nick Canosa, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm well, Adam. I'm well. How are
Get
you?
close to the mic, so you make love to the mic. I know it sucks because you got to. This is the work part of it all. Yeah. You got to get in right. Get right in there because you'll hear it. You'll hear it yourself. You don't want to lounge too much.
How's this?
There you go. Beautiful.
Excellent.
Beautiful. So. We have got you on the show because you are working on, you're doing renewable energy, right? Mm-hmm. And you're doing it from an angle of of high necessity. How did you get in? First of all, how did you even get into this? Because I don't think you started off in your life thinking you were going to become an energy guy, did you? Or?
No. My background was just basically business, finance, and I went to law school, all in New York. You could probably tell.
No way.
You could probably tell from the accent. Yes,
I thought, dude, I would have never guessed.
Yeah. Basically an entrepreneurial background. Always looking, and all my businesses have been successful, but they've always been answering either a personal need from my clients or, something to the nation. I've had physical therapy centers to help the sick. I've had financial systems to help cultural people that couldn't get into the normal banking systems.
Right.
All sorts of stuff that sort of makes me feel good about helping people.
So you're a proper philanthropist in a sense, as far as your function or what you're trying to do, which is, I mean, what this world needs now is a lot more people that think that way, because when you see, I mean you've seen it obviously more than any of us, I'm sure, but when you see certain levels of business where people have got lost touch with the idea of that there's actual human beings involved, that they were doing widgets, they're one of these widget movers, or like, wait a minute, so if we do that, close that plant and do this, we save $52 million. Well, fuck it, let's do it. Not ever taking into consideration that they just put out like 500 families plus. And I think it's like that's why they're successful, because they're ruthless, let's say. But when you're doing this, so what you're doing now is recycling plastic to turn it into fuel.
Yeah. So there, in the garbage industry, there hasn't been a lot of changes in technology in the last, say, 5 or 6 decades. So typically, we all know how the garbage works, right? You throw your garbage away into a garbage pail. You put your recyclables, your plastics, your cardboard, aluminum in these blue or green bins, and they get taken away by the recyclers. So for many, many years, 20, 50, 100 years, we've been taking those plastics, and the renewable part of those plastics is only 12%, meaning it's the clear plastic bottles that can be renewed into carpets, jeans, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the fur on the inside of our jackets is actually that's PET.
PET, that's correct.
Exactly. So that's what we make our insides of our jackets from, and that's
so PET makes up about 10% of all the plastics. The other 90% have no home. They're considered post-waste, non-usable plastics. So typically, for many, many decades, we would sell those plastics to China, and China would take them, and because China was sort of developing their nation, so a recycler would charge the municipality a very small amount of money to go pick the plastics up, because 90% of his revenue came from the sale of those plastics to China. And that's the way it all worked, and everybody did well. And then China last August made the announcement that they are no longer buying plastics or any garbage from the United States. Well, that threw the whole industry in the U.S. upside down. So now what happens is all those plastics, which it could be 300 million tons of plastics a year, instead of going overseas to China where they would recycle them, they go into our landfills. Plastics have a 600-year lifespan.
Were they doing the same thing as you're doing with fuel, or were they doing something else?
No. So in the U.S., we only allow certain plastics to be actually converted into other plastics. It's just easier with this, right? China, there's not a lot of rules out there, so they just convert it all, turn it into kids' toys or something. And
so it's like our trash has been recycled
and turned right back to us. Yeah. That's correct. So when you sit back now and states are calling. So the company's name is Golden Renewable Energy, right? We call it GRE to be short.
Sure.
But states have called us and said, look, our landfill life is severely hampered now. So instead of landfill closing in 2030, it's going to be closed in 2020. And I'm like, that can't happen. He goes, no, you don't understand. Hundreds of thousands of tons are now being dumped.
Right. And it was never like that before.
No. So landfills look like plastic holding. Now, also that goes in the landfills garbage. Bananas and food waste or whatever, that biodegrades and then turns into methane. So you have this.
It gets trapped behind the plastic.
Under the plastic. Yeah. Then there's a spark, the plastics ignite, you can't put them out.
Right.
So islands like the island of Nassau, for instance, when I spoke to the prime minister there, he said, I'm not going to get reelected. And I said, why is that? He said, look over your shoulder. His landfill was on fire. And the island's only 21 miles long. So he said when the wind shifts, it goes right in, and all the children on that island run in for respiratory care because they're breathing in these fumes.
Right. That's
okay.
crazy.
That's why I got into it.
Yeah.
There is no solution for plastics now. There's none. So now we designed a machine at GRE with our engineers, mostly my family. It was more of a hobby in the beginning, but we designed a machine that takes these plastics, converts them into diesel, gasoline, jet fuel, and it gets sold. And the way we do it has very little pollution. We use a specific type of science
it's internalized, basically. Or
it's all closed loop, and whatever goes into the atmosphere is
key word. He said closed loop. Closed loop. All the people. What? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was guilty.
Now I'm listening all of a sudden. So So your family's obviously engineers and internally. What were you guys doing before all this? What was your
in the 1980s? So my family was in the 1980s. We were the family that the inventor of the MRI machine in all hospitals now. That was invented sometime in about 1978. And in 1980, my family went in, and we were the ones that produced all the machines that were delivered worldwide. So I always knew that if I developed the machine, that was the hard part. The manufacturing end of it would be much easier because that was my whole family's background. Installation, field service, warranty services. But it took us 4 years of R&D and mostly my own money to get the machine correct. And make it work.
I've seen some videos of it. It's quite big. It's like
it's about 45 feet long and about 15 feet wide.
Yeah.
So
not huge, but not huge by mechanical standards, but still.
For the garbage industry, it's extraordinarily small.
Yeah, it's just extraordinarily small. You can ship it anywhere, and so. But how many of these machines were built? Like 2 or 3? Or?
So now we just finished our second one. That's going to Raleigh, North Carolina. And I didn't say this, but thank you for extending the invitation, for allowing me to speak on your show. The state of Colorado does hold a very, very dear place in my heart.
Oh, yeah.
They do things in this state that sort of lead the nation, and that is not easy. It's not easy. You open yourself up to criticism, and anybody outside the state really has no idea what's going on in this state and how great it is. So I'm a big fan of not only your show, but the state of Colorado, and nice. I do plan on bringing the technology here at some point, and because what ends up happening is we could stem the flow of plastics into the landfill. So we're the state of North Carolina is the first one that's moving. So they have 16 landfills. We're putting machines throughout there. We're stopping the flow of plastics into it.
And what's the conversion rate, like volume?
For every ton of plastic, so for every 2,000 pounds of plastics, you get about 200 gallons of diesel fuel.
Which is actually
about 75% conversion by weight.
I was going to say that's quite a lot.
Yeah. And the other
so for all you guys out there, it's like taking doing a rosin press,
right? Exactly.
with like 90 instead of like 45. You know what I mean? So your yields would be much higher.
That's right.
And that's pretty good. I mean, 75% is huge. That's like
I wasn't expecting that.
25 and an additional 10 or 12% is we generate our own. It's called synthetic gas, but it's really a methane.
Oh, you were explaining this to me.
And we take that methane, recycle it, run it back, and that is our heating source within the machine. So we don't use natural gas or propane or anything like that either. So it's first of all, it's very efficient, profitable, and it does a good thing. So many people say, well, you built a great company that feels good as well.
Now, you were saying you wanted to do it from cleaning oceans and things like that. So you planning on mounting this on a ship? Or?
Sure. So when we were manufacturing the MRI, we were the first ones to actually put it on a truck. Many times there are sections of the world that don't have enough volume to warrant putting in a fixed unit. So we would bring the truck in once a week or twice a week and then move it. So we plan on putting the machine as well on trucks.
Yeah.
It has some uses for that. If you don't have enough plastics in one area, obviously you can move it around. You could bring it.
Well, it's not, sometimes going to be the transportation that's the carbon footprint that's not making the whole thing viable. Where you're like, well, so you're going to move that from there? Why don't I just bring the machine there and we just load it up? You know what I mean? And that is a good way to, especially since you also have now on your Mach 2 model, let's call it, that's getting smaller, more portable, let's say, and when do you think that would be available to the public? Or
probably in 2019.
Okay, so like a year out, basically.
Yeah, we have a very big backlog of orders for the machine, so we want to get it out. We want to get them installed. We target states that are more open-minded to this type of a thing, and moving forward that way.
And that was not private people that are buying it, or was it states?
There are private people all over the world. So we have people from Florida, Canada, not Florida as well, but Canada. You have Europe, we have Africa. What we have in the United States, it's 10, 20 times worse abroad. Caribbean island. It doesn't have enough plastics to even warrant a ship to come and pick them up. Yeah. So they throw them in landfills. They throw them in rivers, plastic bags. And here's what really got to me. About 2 years ago, I moved over to be a vegetarian. Okay, but I do actually a pescatarian. I
sure,
eat fish.
you and I are about the same on our diets. Well, except I don't eat as much French fries. You eat more French fries.
I eat a lot more French fries. I know. All vegetarians are not that thin.
No. I mean, it's like. I mean, I'm a New Yorker, so I'm like I'm a sucker for pizza. So I'm always like, and so it's usually like
could live on
hardly
pizza.
call myself a vegetarian if I'm just chowing on cheese and things all the time. So I mean, I stick with the pescatarian because I would like to eat fish. I'm just a little bit bummed out that there's not many places I will eat fish from. I'm very picky, and it's like, too bad the Pacific's completely fucked. Now I only like try to eat stuff from the Atlantic or from somewhere at least a few more years, until it gets there too, because Alaska, which was the pristine waters, is really where it's like the hottest. Is because I was in Oregon and I was with a friend of mine. We were smoking on the beach. We're near the beach, and he was like, "Yeah, I haven't been down here in a long time by the water." And it was just kind of like, ever since Fukushima, and it kind of all dawned on me because I was thinking about moving there, and I was like, "Oh, dude," he's like, "Yeah, you can't bring your kid down to the water no more because if you take something home, you don't even know where it could like shit's floating up from Fukushima now." So you're like, "That's a really cool thing," and then you go home and it's like, I was like, literally just not the thing you want to have. Get your Geiger counter out.
Let me add a little perspective to that. So once the plastics hit the water, which could be plastic bags, it could be anything. Once it hits the salt water, it begins to break down. Mm-hmm. So when I'm sitting at my desk and a statistic like 5 trillion pieces of microplastic are in our ocean and they're being eaten by the fish. Mm-hmm. Now I was in trouble with my fish, so I was thinking, well, what am I going to be able to eat now?
Right.
It was that stuff. So yes, we are definitely mounting it on different types of vessels. Mm-hmm. There are specific types of nets and trappings that don't affect or have very little effect on the fish that are eating the plastics that may get scooped up. So, we're doing the best that we can environmentally to make sure we don't kill any fish.
Sure.
But it has to happen. We have to clean our oceans. It's just, there are islands off the Pacific of just plastics.
There was the that Dutch kid that invented that sort of suction thing. You
That's
saw that,
correct.
that buoy kind of thing?
Yeah, and it's almost like it looks like the mouth of a whale almost. It just sort of it skims the top and allows everything to go through except the plastics. And we contacted him and we said it would be great to
combinations
sort
of
collaborate and get it done.
That's awesome. Yeah, because it's one of those things. And there's also but I know a lot of brands are jumping on that. I know Adidas was doing some stuff where they made some shoes out of the so they're. I mean, it's nice because the world is kind of getting conscious slightly. Mm-hmm. We're getting slightly conscious. My prediction was that 2020, clear vision, right? Mm-hmm. We all actually figured out. Like, oh, wait a minute, oh shit. Now it's because I feel like the whole Mayan calendar thing was a little off. Like it was like, they were about 8 years off. But the reality was, it wasn't. It was this enlightenment, and it has to be worldwide. It can't just be like one country, and. Of course, I'm biased. I'm going to say it's cannabis that did it all. Of course, because what are you talking about? Like, what else has changed the opinions of people in the last 10 years, 5 years, and last 2 years even? It's like every state that drops, I'm like, this is really the timing is going to be perfect. You see, by 2020, it's going to be like, well, fuck it, dude. We're just going to legalize this shit. Unfortunately, we all know now that we're in the game for so long that we're almost like, oh, wait a minute, I wish it wouldn't be legalized because they're going to railroad us on the other side. All of a sudden we're like, you can't do that. This is legal now, and only legal people. We're getting what we did, we exactly what we wanted, and now it's like, oh shit, we didn't think of that one through. But at the same time, I feel like the enlightenment part and the global thought thing, I kind of have to put cannabis in there at some form because it really. Things we never, like your generation never thought it would be legal. I know for a fact. My generation pretty much never thought. Some of us maybe. Now all what's going to happen is it's by the next generation they're going to be like, dude, of course. You know what I mean? It's like, no, what do you mean of course? Like you don't even know how hard it was. You don't know the struggle, kid. They're like,
there's a lot of battle scars.
They're like, with like vape pens. We don't do vape pens anymore. They'll already be on to the next level of things. And it's like at the same time, the reality that we could actually change the system. One part of me is very suspicious that it's just it's like a look over here while we do this over there situation, because the fact that we're all like, it's keep going, push. It's like they're going to give it to us anyway. They just are trying to figure out how to capitalize on it themselves, and they can't change the opinion of certain people, which is, we're literally at that last generation of like, come on, dude, just die. Can you just die so we can move on? Because they're like hanging on by a thread, you know what I mean? Like
Jeff Sessions.
Yeah, these people, you're in your 80s, you know what I mean? Like, fucking come on, dude, just move on. We got to move on from you, and then the next crew is like, of course, you know what I mean? We're all and I had the same situation in Holland where a lot of the kids that were there never ever since they were a kid, they'd go outside. There'd be people smoking weed. There's a shop next door that sells weed, so they don't know anything better. Like that's it. And then they travel, and they're like, so how do you? Before there was dispensaries here, they'd be like, come to America, and they'd be like, how do you guys do that? You call somebody up? It's like, yeah, you call someone up, and then it's like, God, you don't, and they just didn't have a clue. They were like totally, that's weird. You guys, we just go to so, and it's going to happen now for the next generation because my son was 5. By the time he's conscious of what's going on, my dad's been in the industry forever, and shit's been illegal since the day I was born, because he was born in 2012 here. So Colorado, 2012, he's pretty much, since the day I was born, weed was legal in where I was born at, and fucking pretty much, I'm sure I'll be following that weed path anyway, so I don't see myself living in a non-legal state or place ever again, because why would I? It'd be like, okay, now after everything, I'm going to go move to, the most extreme other side of it all. But in general, it's hard to get those people to, to feel the same things that we felt along the way. And I think,
Appreciation.
Yeah, the appreciation. And you've seen it. I think we said it last night when we were talking, like how, there's so many people who it's like, oh man, this is it. I get to sell weed finally. And they did all these other businesses and they may have been successful, but then all of a sudden they tried to sell weed and they got their asses handed to them on a fucking plate because this guy told them this. Like, well, but he told me. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you got to be careful who you listen to, because if you listen to the wrong person, you can just go down the wrong path. And then at the same time, the world doesn't need another drug dealer. Like we're pretty good at it. Like there's a whole bunch of us out. There's a whole bunch of us out there that know how to sell weed. So when someone comes in and says, yeah, I'll show you guys how to do it because I have a marketing degree from this university and I built a Apple store and I did all this stuff. And it's like, that's cool, but nobody will trust that. You know what I mean? They have this thing like they can tell, they have a little radar. We have this sort of built-in radar, which is, are you part of the cause? Are you part of the cause or the problem in a sense? You know what I mean? And the problem would be the carpetbaggers that are in our industry that are coming in and basically, capitalizing on the weaknesses of the people that have no business skills, which are the opposite of your world. You got guys, you've seen it from probably that side too, where the weed guys are like really good at what they do, but really bad at business, and really bad at making contracts, and really bad at those things that are, you don't know about it until it all comes up, and you're like, let me just look at that. And you're like, oh, actually, fuck, I got nothing. You know what I mean? That guy wrote that shit like rock solid, and he owns my ass and or whatever. I might as well just fold up now. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of that going on. But you actually dabbled here.
I love the research part about business. I research a lot of businesses. When I was researching energy, it took me a long time to decide that I didn't want to do anything that existed and build a new thing, a new machine, a new something to change what's going on. I've researched the cannabis industry a lot, and if you really do take the time and read a lot of the anecdotal evidence that comes from overseas, basically, because nothing was really done here for many years, right? But and it's anecdotal, right? So you have to take it. It's not FDA and all that stuff. But when you really look at it, I don't understand how you cannot look at this plant with the idea that, I like to laugh and say it's only this nation that would make the cure of cancer illegal, right? But all I'm saying is,
you're right.
But it's the truth.
But if you look at it, and the anecdotal evidence comes from Israel and it comes from overseas, and they talk about, putting, I'm an extraordinary large fan of CBD at this point, and I understand THC is needed, but if you look at that CBD and you start reading, how are we not on this?
Yeah. Well, the thing is also,
how are we not on this?
Well, the one thing that's great is to see with Israel being one of the leaders in cannabis research, the discoverers of THC, everything about it is like all these major discoveries done by the Israelis, and they're in a place which has a lot of history, and was not, because all the people I know from there, they're all raging maniacs, right? I mean, every single one of them coming out of there. So it was like, it never stemmed the tide of it, but it was also very illegal and very, kind of because it had this whole racist vibe too. Same thing as we'd blame the Mexicans, they blame the Arabs, and it's just like kind of like, oh, it's a nice little excuse to like, oh, you're bad, you're part of that. You know what I mean? It's smuggling, and everything about it was always kind of like, ooh, it's super shady and expensive and not the best quality even compared to like what was all around them. You know what I mean? But they still persisted on their research, and like when they do it right. Like vaporizer in your room next to your bed, not trying to single molecule it and give it to you in some other form that doesn't work. It's like, no, here, just vape, boop, works. Right. And it's like in your room, and you're like, well, that's fucking, you know, that you would, because, you know, it's healing. The healing process is really important. And I think when you take any pills along the way, it's you know, in case, unless it's like a blood thinner and you need it because of whatever, because of the surgery, okay. But if it's certain things that are just pain blockers and things like that, your body is really designed to do all that on its own. That's part of the process. And it's like, if you think you're going to mask it all the time, then, you know, you need to fucking man up and just deal with it in a sense. Because I feel like at the end of the day, like, I've always been such an idiot. Like, I go to the dentist, I'd be like, no Novocaine, no nothing. I don't like needles, right? And then they just start digging in. And I just didn't do it forever. And then when I was like 30 something, I was like, you know, all right, all right, do it. And then I did it, and I was like, why the fuck didn't I do this every time? You know, because I was just like, this is ridiculous. I was going into, I just like glutton for pain. But in the end, I was actually glad because of that. Just because I did that, I kind of also thought about that with everything. Like, whenever they gave me, like, because in Holland, you don't get anything. Like, if you break your arm, you get 2 aspirin. That's it. You go home, literally 2 aspirin. They're not.
So there's no opiate addiction there, like we have.
Well,
here.
there is, but it's all from heroin. You know, they went straight to it. They didn't fuck around with the pills to get to the heroin. They just went straight to the heroin. You know, and it was always available there. That was the whole thing.
Sure.
So, like, when my friends over there hurt themselves, they were American, and this is even back in the 90s. They couldn't get anything, right? And they, like, one guy had a herniated disc, and he was about 10 years older than me, so he was probably like about 40 at the time, and he, like, you know, was carrying something and fucking slipped, and bam, that was done. And then all of a sudden, you know, he realized that he already had problems before that with his back, and then that just, you know, went overboard. And literally, went to the doctor. They're like giving him aspirin like it's a prescription. Like, here's 6 aspirin. Now use these over the next 3 days. You know, and he's like, wow. You know, like ended up at the Pill Bridge buying fucking opiates from junkies, and within a month he was already like on. I was like, dude, you're already spun out on smack. You know what I mean? It was like, that's how quick. So Amsterdam is like no non-availability of opiates, but it's just never in a pill form, and not coming from oxys. It's not like Florida.
Or for any type of doctor.
Florida, you can get a few oxys, I heard.
I take my health very seriously. So when I go to the highest end doctors, whether in New York or Washington, the first thing they say is, we want you to get more sleep. I'm a businessman. I run 3-4 different companies at a time. I have hundreds of employees. We just don't sleep like that. And I have numerous friends on Wall Street that always talk about the same thing. And what do they say? They say, oh, I have no problem sleeping. I take an Ambien. I take a Zoloft. I take this. I take that. And I look at them and I'm like, you have never heard of CBD? You know, my son has ADHD. He's 14 years old. They want to put him on Adderall, Ritalin, all this stuff. Yeah. We did, because I'm trying to do the best I can for my son, right? He does it. Now he's wired. He's this. And when he comes down, he's irritable. He's yelling at his sister. And it's just this, we're a pill economy. And if you just take some time and look at some of the evidence, because I could honestly say that when I gave either a vape pen or an edible to a friend, and they ate that, they went to sleep, and they had the best sleep of their life.
Right. It's awesome. It's like weird, because as a sort of, I get like people, you know, as a weed guy, in most people's opinion, like they look at me, they see my name in their phone. Oh, that's the weed guy, Adam. I need CBD for my cousin. And, you know, it's always, I get these crazy things, and I try to help I try to connect everybody as much as I can. You know, I'll either tell them, like, check out Mary's Medicinals if they're in a state that's not legal, and they can get it direct, and they know it's, you know, and I know that because I know the inputs are good, because they get all of their material from Elite Genetics, which is here in Colorado, which actually makes great quality CBD, and I know it's going to work. And it's like the amount of times that I've just like said, yeah, boom, put the phone down, and then like you get that message at one point, and they're like, dude, it was great. You know, you think, wow, it's like, you know, it's just nice to know that, you know, you never feel bad doing it too, because you don't, you know, it's not like, dude, reaction, bro, it was terrible. You know, it's like, never happens, you know what I mean? So you know that you're always just given good medicine.
Best sleep of my life. That's what I hear. I always hear best sleep. So think about it. No sleep, high blood pressure. Then they give you more meds, right? Yeah. Then what ends up happening is your sporting life goes down, your bedroom life goes down, all sorts of things start happening. You stop sweating at times. I mean, it's just pills have side effects, and you have to understand that.
Well, yeah, you have to watch. All you have to do is watch TV to like try to watch a show and go like, So that thing had like 2 benefits and 600 side effects.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
you
So
watch
you're like-
any pharmaceutical
It's pretty
commercial,
funny.
and it's,
It's
like
almost funny.
No, it is. We laugh about it all the time. It's like a cure for like hanging toenail.
Right,
or something.
right. Bleeding
It's like,
from the
but you can bleed out, instant death, coma, stroke. You know,
and there's no shame anymore. It used to be like, you know, it sounded a little intense. Now you're just like, oh my god, dude, you get like leukemia from that shit. Like it's just like
it's scary.
It starts
black
to get
hairy
to
tongue.
Yeah.
That was in one.
Yeah, I had
Hairy tongue.
I had an antibiotic one time for a bronchial infection, and literally I always read the little words, you know, that freak you out. You're like, oh my god, I'm having like this side effect. But one of them
It used to be that was the thing you were looking for. You're like, hey, what's this kind of thing?
How fun.
Hallucinations, yeah.
Well, one of them said a black hairy tongue. I was like, you have to be kidding me.
That is
What kind of reaction is this causing in my mouth?
Go to
you
sleep.
know?
Try to
That's
get a good night's
crazy.
sleep
Nice
on
party
that.
trick, maybe. But I don't know.
I literally thought I was getting punked. I honestly thought it was like a Saturday Night Live commercial. When there was a 45-second commercial for some sort of some pharmaceutical drug. Again, it was like for mellow, like
Right.
whatever, some sort of hair thing or something,
Right.
whatever it may be. And so 15 seconds of that and 30 seconds of the side effects.
Yeah.
Right.
And they were bad. Like almost to the fact that I was laughing. Like, why would I take my hair? I don't want to die. You know, it's like, you know. But it's so when you put all of that together, how could you not do some research?
Yeah.
How could you not? It's
Common sense.
just I don't
I
understand.
don't know if
it.
you heard, but I actually started taking CBD because of a reaction to a medication that my doctor prescribed that gave me seizures, you know?
yeah.
And they never even warn you about that. And I feel like they should. If there's all these repercussions, you know, that could happen, I mean, they should warn you when they start prescribing it, but they prescribe it like candy.
Listen, I'm not against pharmaceuticals. We are all right. They're a great look. There are cures for hepatitis. There are cures for other types of, you know, some of the early stage cancers and stuff like that. I'm fine with that. It's the ability for anybody to go into their doctor to say, geez, I got a little ache, or I really can't sleep, and boom, the Zoloft, boom,
Yes.
the Valium, boom.
Depression.
Like,
you
it's
never hear
immediate.
sunshine and socialization prescribed.
Right? Get
You
a
know?
little vitamin D. Go outside.
Yeah.
You know,
How about eat some quality food?
Right. How about lose a little weight? You feel a little bit better. No, here's the prescription. And why? Because the
Money.
HMOs are not paying the doctors. So the doctors need to get you in and out, and that's another problem. We'll
Kickbacks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and you hit the nail on the head right there. It's all about food. Food is the most important thing. They don't ever
Absolutely.
talk about food. They always like, you know, and if they do, it's like, oh, it's some dated food pyramid that they've changed like 19 times since I was a kid. Like, wait a minute, wasn't it like this before? Now, like, it seems to be a way heavier. And then, you know,
Heavily GMO.
well, yeah, that's the thing. They'll tell you to eat tons and tons of breads and stuff. And then I you know, look at, you know, this is a never-ending sort of subject. But as far as like the allergies that people have, and you know, you go out to dinner now, and you're like, I would hate to own a restaurant right now. You know what I mean? Like back in the day, you'd be like, oh, cool. Hey, do we got any allergies? Yeah, one person a night. You know what I mean? Now it's like 60 people in one night, and they're all complicated. And to be a waiter and to be responsible for those people, I would just be like, dude, this ain't worth it, man. It's like, if one person has a reaction, you feel like you feel terrible, but also you could be liable. You know what I mean? At that point, you're like, well, I told you, and you get, oh, that thing didn't have peanuts in it, did it? Oh shit, it had the thing that touched the peanut. You know what I mean? And so,
The interesting thing.
but that's all GMO related. I'm 100%
Yeah, well, now
sure.
that-
you
yeah,
know.
Absolutely, it is.
And now they do the research and they do the lab results on our wastewater, stuff that we flush down the toilet and stuff. And they're finding opiates. Because remember, people are ingesting them, and then what comes out goes down the toilet and it goes through. And then they got to process that. But they're processing out hazardous waste and plastics and what have you.
Not the pills.
They're not processing the other stuff out. So now
Well, that's why we have estrogen problems and things like that too. Because also it's like you think about like the, you know, all the products that are going down, like you're saying, like they're filtering out. They know they're going to filter out. A lot of that stuff just goes right on through. And I mean, legal, illegal drugs, all of them are all detectable. You know what I mean? It's like they in every and like some cities. Crazy numbers where you're like in Spain, the cocaine content was so high in the fucking water that it was just like, really, dude? That's not that's like, I mean, you could almost just evaporate the water and be like, there's some coke right there. It was getting to those levels because there was so much in the system there, you know, and people piss it out and it just kind of goes through their system and goes into the main system and they clean it out and put it right back into the drinking water.
Disgusting.
It's pretty weird, yeah. And you're surprised more things haven't gone completely haywire in this.
Drink some water, your mouth mouth is numb.
Right.
Yeah, right. Your tongue grows hair. Listen, hundreds of billions of dollars a year are spent on FDA submissions, right, by pharmaceutical industry. Why doesn't this nation just say, look, let's do the research once and for all on cannabis? Just do it. Yeah. And if it's not true, fine. Then we're all speaking and we're not understanding. When they find out it's correct and how and the healing effect of CBD and how it works on the body and the body sees it.
I mean, they do know. They've already patented it, and so I mean, the government's already.
They did that really to stop the use of it, right? They patented the THC strain, but.
Well, yeah, and they patented the use of using it as a medicine, and they patented the use of any cannabinoids. I mean, the thing is, they do know it. They know exactly what's going on.
No.
Just like they knew. Back in the day that it was like when they tested for cannabis just to find bad results, because that's what they used to do. That's the whole point. It was like, oh, you're doing it for the government? Cool. So they took like a rhesus monkey, put 40 joints through its system, like pumped it right through. Then they killed that monkey, dissected his brain, and they said, oh, look, brain damage. It's like it was asphyxiated for 40 minutes with just any smoke. It didn't matter what smoke it was. It was killing the brain cells. And then so literally, if it would be like smoking 900 joints at a time, you know what I mean, at once, and somehow getting it into your system, it's not going to happen. So they were looking for bad results. But when they did like normal tests, where they weren't trying to kill the monkey right out of the gate, but they were going for like, okay, this one we're going to go THC, and it has Okay, this rat has cancer, and we're going to give it a bunch of THC, tons of it. And then we're going to give this one doesn't have cancer, we're going to give it tons of THC. And this one we're going to has cancer, we're not going to, they did every trial they could. And what they figured out was that the rat with cancer that got THC injections lived longer than the rat without cancer that didn't get any injections. So it was like, that's crazy, you know what I mean? Like, so that's it's living longer. Like, what do you mean? So it was like one of the things where we got to squash that. So that was in 72, right? That was in 72. They could have cured cancer, well, not cured it, but they could have at least figured out that it could create cell death from THC, and then worked on that, and then they would probably came up with something at that point. You know what I mean? Because we'd had a good 47 years of research might have helped. You know what I mean?
A little bit, right?
Tiny bit, and then. So the evidence is there. We know that they could do another 2,000 hours of testimony in court, and then it just takes one dickhead to fucking squash it and be like, I don't know. But I think right now we're at a turning point too, because you heard recently how they said like, well, if these guys, and this was only 7 people, the girl that was they had the young 12-year-old who sued, who said, and they had sessions there and everything. So I wish I was there, because it must have been great to watch them squirm, because it was pretty obvious that the judge was like intelligent enough to go like, okay, so how are we not how are we not recognizing this, because it's pretty damn obvious.
They just dismissed that one the other day, right?
Well, it hasn't. It's going to go. There's still more to.
Well, I thought they dismissed it, but because they didn't, they failed to exhaust all the remedies on the scheduling process with the DEA.
Right.
The interesting case is the other one in the Ninth Circuit, where they're specifically challenging the fact that the DEA did not properly schedule it through their own processes, and it's also contradictory to the Farm Bill. And they pissed off a bunch of egotistical Congress people who wrote an amicus brief in opposition to the DEA for that case. Now that's the one that I'm really interested in how that turns out, because I don't see the DEA winning that one.
Yeah, I mean, not on evidence based, that's for sure.
No, definitely not.
It will be, if anything, it would be
random
like,
technicality.
Yeah, good old boy is there, and gets the right somebody. That's about the only way I can see that one working.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, well, case dismissed, Bear. Like, wait a minute, what happened here?
And then he retires right after the ruling.
Exactly, and I'm retired. So no, it is true, because it's one of those like, I mean, it's great to see. Through all the bullshit that's happening right now, like, what I kind of feel is that there's so much insanity going on of like, really, like, you don't see that's blue, right? And you're like, no, that's not blue. And you're like, it is blue. Look at it. It's blue. And everybody can even agree on like the color of something, or, the original. But I think we're getting to that point where now it's kind of like on your Facebook, where you're like, oh, I'm so glad you said that, because now you're fucked. You're gone. You know what I mean? Because now I know. And for a while you were interesting and fun to watch, but you crossed fucking my line and you're gone. And it's like, it's a pretty, obviously you're going to then customize your thread to your liking or whatever, and you're not going to deal with it. But it also, there's a line now where I'm like, okay, I really don't even need to bother talking to you anymore because you have shown me like you have no fucking like idea of what's really going down, and that's the one thing about social media which I find is interesting, because before that you could be talking to somebody forever and never know that they were racist or they were fucking just ridiculously anti-cannabis, and that you didn't know it the whole time because you never brought it up, but they're like, oh my god, why am I even talking to this person? Because they obviously have like, get rid of all them weeds heads and pie, and I was like, oh yeah, you're gone. Not to say that you shouldn't
unfollow.
Oh yeah, and I think it's I mean, everybody. It's weird too because when you have 5 people in a room all sitting on this, and they're sitting on their page, and they all are getting fed just such different things, and it's like really weird. It's like we're getting to that utopian bullshit thing where you're like, all right, guys, it's you do know that everything that is getting geared toward like nobody else is getting that info. Like all of a sudden, oh dude, look at that, how do they know? It's like, oh my god, how do you think they know? I saw a great thing the other day that our friend sent me, which was a guy went around with 2 phones, 2 brand new iPhones, no SIM card in them, one with airplane mode on, and then never been on the system, never been on the network, never nothing, not even just like a brand new phone out of the factory. Walked around town, came back, hooked it up to this thing, which is basically where turn the phones on, do it. Went inside to a place near network, hooked this thing up, caught all the information that would be going sent to Google, 123. With the phone that was on, without the airplane mode on, it was 123 different places where it said, like, in a car, driving, walking. It knew exactly what you were doing by the speed. If you were in the car, it knew you were in the car. If you were in a train, it knew you were in a train. Knew where you were, everything about it, right? And then the one that had the airplane mode had even more. Had, like, more spots. So it was like, it didn't even... And these cars, they had no SIM card. And so you're just like, just by having a phone with you, it doesn't matter what the fuck is.
And who doesn't have a phone these days?
Exactly.
That's the scary part.
Exactly. So we all do. We're all guilty of it. They're listening to everything.
And they know everything.
Hello.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah, but it's also the way that to disseminate the information that we know. In the 70s, if you knew something, it would be very difficult to get it out. Now it's instant.
Yes, absolutely. Which is positives.
That's a positive.
There's good and bad sides to everything. Yeah, exactly. Right. There's like, we can move information quicker. We can also move lies quicker. We can spread rumors faster than ever. It's like the rumor mill has gotten really good lately. And it's gotten to the point where it's like, every single one of us has probably clicked on something like, motherfuckers, oh, wait a minute. Oh, this is not even that bullshit. You know what I mean? Because you got pawned at that point. And it was fun when it was just like a Rickroll, but now it's beyond the Rickroll. Now it's like, it's malicious. You know what I mean? Yeah. So people are sending out like, oh, cool. It's just like, it's like the guy who goes around in the bar and hits on every chick because he knows one of them is going to go home with him. So he just keeps going and hammering down. And so that's what a lot of these things are. It's like, I just keep putting out this thing and somebody's going to be dumb and go like, oh yeah, I'll do burp. And then you're just like, and they did it to my friend the other day where he said, I got this thing. It said, he had a picture of my video on his thing sent to my phone where it said 109,000 views. And I was like, there's no way that this is something weird. Like it's taking a screenshot of my profile page, and it's putting my friend's name connected to it with a huge amount of hits, so that I'm like, what the hell is this? Like and I was just about to push it, and I was like, no, dude, I'm not going to do that. And then I sent it away, and then like 10 minutes later, I see him like, oh, I got spammed. Don't open up your email. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no kidding, thank you. But it was, you see, like it's getting to that point where everybody's going to get hit multiple times in some way, shape, or form, and it's whether it's bank or whatever along the way. I mean, when I was in New York, right after I got on the plane, I'm like, $207 at a shop in Brooklyn. Like, I'm like, no way, dude. When I get off the plane, I'm like, I think I got skimmed somewhere, you know what I mean? But it's crazy stuff now. So it's like, I think but what's also a great point about right around now is like all this stuff is also showing you that everything is possible, both good and bad. So like technology-wise, it's pretty awesome time period to be alive because but there is a lot of like
all knowledge at the tip of your hand.
Well, there's also a lot of weird stuff. Like one of the things that came to my attention from our friend was about the whole Elon Musk and fucking Tesla, and it was like, oh, and he's like, no, Tesla's evil, and I'm like, no, they're not evil. But at the same time, what he did, but the point that he made, which made sense, was that do you know how much energy it takes to produce one battery?
yeah.
And then it was like, no, not really. And I don't know, the comparison was 100% correct, but he was talking about like each battery is like having a tractor-trailer truck running for 6 years, you know, the diesel truck just running for 6 years.
To produce a battery?
To produce one battery.
Of the Tesla?
Yeah.
Huh,
So-
ironic.
Wow.
So if that's the case, you're like, ooh, that's a little less interesting then, isn't it? Because then obviously you've already taken that much of a bite before you've ever even gone anywhere with it. And then every time you're getting energy, where are you getting that energy from? Is it coming from coal? You know, is it coming from, so you start to do the addition in your mind and you're like, so yeah, that's not the most energy efficient in the long term, but it's a step in the right direction, and I'm 100% behind
Right.
the technology. But at the same time, I also think battery technology's got to get better. We're all just sitting around. We're slaves to our
Yes.
like my phone died. Like, you know, I wish Tesla would have fucking. That shit would have just.
My brain was shut down.
You know, no, the real
I lost my
Tesla.
phone.
I'm saying real
Oh.
Tesla. If real Tesla shit, I'm saying if real Tesla shit was actually in effect, none of us would have this problem. We'd all
Right.
be like, you know, liars, schmires.
I have great faith in our nation. And if you think back in the 80s when we were suing tobacco companies and never winning, right? You hear it every month. Someone else sued because it creates cancer, blah, blah, blah. And then the movement started. And then in the 90s, all of a sudden, it started to move. And then it moved rapidly. And then before you know it, we have no smoking, so it's secondhand smoke. I mean, my dad died of cancer. I can tell you when I was a youngster, he would take me wherever to a card game he'd be playing or something like that with his friends.
Didn't even think of it.
It was thick, so thick that we had to take our clothes off when we got home, put them on the porch,
Yeah.
and let them air out. We couldn't even wash it out. Okay, but look what happened. Now it's done. So I do have faith. It may take 10 more years, 20. Someone's going to do it. We're going to all move, and we've already voted.
Yeah.
The nation already voted.
Yeah.
So we're ready to do it.
Yeah, and I think it's again like a pretty cool time period, just because I think that we're in that transition phase, which is, you know, you don't even know it when you're there. Like right now, we know we're in a transition, but before this, a lot of us didn't realize how bad it was. But if you look back on like just videos of the 70s and you see, like you were saying, like people just smoking with a kid right here, man, smoking with a kid. And, like nobody gave a shit. And there was never even a question. It was like, oh, it's a cigarette hanging out of the mouth. But the baby, it's ashes going on it or whatever. It's just like, hey, whatever, ashes on the baby. And then if you see old photos, it's like my friend, you know, blowing out candles on the cake, and there's just like beer and cigarettes all around, like the kid, like, whatever, you know what I mean? 15 cigarettes in the ashtray. And then on flights back in the day when I was a kid, it was like my mom was a big smoker, so it was like I was always in the smoking section with my mom, and it was always in the back of the plane. And there would be like, man, if you think about it as like now, I just think like, oh my god, it's so crazy because it used to be like just a haze in there, and it wasn't like you'd be in the non-smoking section and I'm in the smoking section, and you're like, oh, really? Like that's you know, like that's as close as we were. So I was like, well, you are in the smoking section now, you know, like
For years, I had to commute into NYU. That's where I went to school, and they had a smoking car in the train. And I was 19 years old when I started, and I would walk through the trains to try to find a seat. If I didn't ever smoke tobacco, so as I walked through those, I would have to walk through the smoking train to get to the next car to see if there were seats.
And it was
there.
just so hard.
I just smelled. My hair was long in there.
Yeah.
Everything smelled. I didn't think it was going to kill me.
yeah.
But more educated now, thanks to shows like yourself. And,
Yeah,
and
well,
the
I mean, I
Joe
think
Rogan
all of
stuff.
us, again, like no seatbelts, smoking cigarette. You know,
Yeah.
There was all those things. We were dangerous, living dangerous, which I'm glad I grew up in that generation because I'm like, man,
You saw it move.
yeah, when I put my kid in the seat, I'm like, part of me is like, okay, how could you? I would feel bad if he's not, and like when he's, and it's funny because you know he doesn't have that reaction now because if he sits in my car. And he'll be like, I don't want to put it on. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, really? And I'll just kind of like back it out a little bit and then give him a little, and he's like, whoa. You know, just like, yeah, you don't even like, you're just used to being strapped the fuck in. So get strapped in, kid, because it ain't fun. You know what I mean? I won't give him too hard of a bump, but you know what I mean? Give him a little scare. Give him a little scare. But yeah, when we were kids, I mean, it was like, you know, standing up in the back seat. Woo! You know, pretty much like, you know, how did we survive? I don't know. I'm not sure how we all made it, but it seems like we all did.
But we did.
Yeah. How does it happen? No,
Right.
but nowadays it's like you're accustomed to it. I think the recycle game like is actually, we were talking about, I was telling these guys about how, because my wife's from Sweden and Sweden doesn't have any trash. You know,
They export it.
yeah. Well, no.
Or they burn. Yeah,
they use it.
turn it into
They
energy. Yeah,
they
that's
don't
right.
export anything. They actually were importing it because they had built all these factories to do stuff, and then all of a sudden they had nothing to put in it because they were so efficient, and they just kind of ran through. So I'd say they didn't have any backlog, you know, and you got so Scandinavia seems like an obvious choice.
They all call me Finland, Sweden, obviously Switzerland. So Sweden, I had visited to see what they were doing, and there's some great companies out there. But because of the population and where it sits, the big oil companies in certain regions stopped providing fuel. So what they did was they created mobile gas stations, and those companies called me and said, "We want your machine to fill our mobile gas stations. We're just going to get rid of all our plastics."
That's awesome.
So they were all working on it.
But and then I mean, a lot of places are adopting no bag. It's like a few countries have adopted it, right, along the way.
You mean no plastic bags?
Yeah.
Listen, we're doing it municipality by municipality in the United States, and we all know in the United States that when the citizens of the United States actually hear that there's a problem, it's probably 10 times bigger. And I can tell you, the plastic bag problem is massive. It's massive. Even when China was buying plastics, they wouldn't buy plastic bags because there was really no use for it. So you throw it away, they become airborne, they catch on everything, they're in the
those
oceans.
are good. Those are good for you, right?
Yeah, we can take them all the time. Yeah, we take them all the time, create diesel
And
fuel.
what? So for you, what's it like? Because I noticed today when you were checking out some trash, basically, you were like, "Hey, I like this one." You know? so different plastics have different. I'm assuming different yields per.
Yeah.
What's the?
So obviously PET plastics there are 7.
That's the number one?
grades. That's plastics number 1. Has very little hydrocarbons in it because it's what we call consumer edible plastic. And you don't need the plastic, but what is in it.
So it's not good in a sense for you.
So it's not good to turn into fuel. There's not a
No.
lot of fuel. And by the way, that is a recyclable one, so you should sell it.
Gotcha.
Do whatever you can to do it.
Yeah.
The rest of them, there is no real use to them.
And so the PET gets separated out of the gate, and then you take the rest of it.
Shred it, put it in the machine, create fuel.
And is there, contamination-wise, let's say, because you're dealing with trash, right? You're not like how clean? How much does it have to be cleaned? Is there like certain things that would ruin the whole? Because I can't imagine it's good to have banana peel in your fuel, for instance.
Yeah, well, but remember, it's all about carbon chains and stuff. So if the banana peel makes it into the machine, it's just going to vaporize just like the plastics did. You'll end up getting a little bit more methane, and that'll be fine too.
Okay.
I mean, they could run organics through the machine too. It's
Right.
just organics aren't a problem. You could put them in landfills; they'll just biodegrade.
Sure.
Plastics, that's the problem.
Gotcha.
There's solutions for glass, paper, aluminum, steel. All those are fine. There's systems for it. They move and everything goes in. There is no system for plastics anymore.
And then, what scares me more, well, not more, right, but it's the fact that plastics break down even further, and this stuff will never, ever, ever get back. Like, there's so much plastic probably just, shredded up that's been, like one of the examples is Nike shoes, for instance, right? Nike's actually the biggest polluter in the world when it comes to combination of manufacturing, and which they're doing like a good job of trying to fix that. But the biggest problem they had is that the soles of the shoes, because they produce so many shoes, right? And those shoes, if you look at the bottom of your shoe, it's like it wears out, right? So when things wear out, it's kind of like a car where, brake shoes wear out. Well, how much brake dust is on the fucking roads? You know what I mean? That's the pollutants that are the scarier ones because they're micronized in the wrong way. You know what I mean? We like the good micronized stuff, but not the fact that because that's like one of those things where there's no way to really get to those, is there? I mean, there's no way to get back the.
Well,
you just take
we could try to scam. We could do a lot of different things. It's sad. I mean, I've had international veterinarians come to me and show me pictures of ducks and geese and whatever that they've had to do sort of autopsies on to see. They would cut it open, and there'd be a plastic bag throughout its entire circulation system.
Right.
It was just very sad.
Yeah.
And what's really scared is that this is another statistic: 8.5 billion plastic bags used in English supermarkets annually. It's 8.5 billion bags, and there's no other use. So then I asked, they said the useful lifespan of an average plastic bag, like the usable part of the bag. What's the useful lifespan? 12 minutes.
12 minutes. Yeah.
Well, right. Right. As soon as you get in your car, you're pulling the thing out, you're eating it, and then you get home, you throw it away. So it's bad. It's just, the earth is big, but
luckily we can use cornstarch and things like that and do those other kind of there is ways to make biodegradable bags, and I think if you're
they're trying, it's more expensive. There's going to be a fee. The citizens are kind of not exact. there's some give and take.
Right.
There's some. If they're saying, look, we want to use our plastic bags, just let GRE take it, turn it into fuel, and we keep it sort of a closed loop system.
So you want plastic bags is what you're saying. You're going to lobby for. I want more plastic bags.
Listen,
more plastic bags. No, I'm just
when
kidding.
you talk about 800 million tons a year of plastics,
What happens when we
There's
run
no
out of
shortage.
Yeah.
it's going to take me a long time to solve this search.
Well, it'd actually be a good thing. It'd be like one of those deals where you'd be like, finally, we can shut this thing down. It'd be a good. I mean, it's like the guys from Sea Shepherd who we support on the show. You know, they basically their goal was to stop Japanese whaling ships from whaling, which they've been doing for hundreds of years. And so in the end, they did it. And you're like, within a few seasons too, because they just were persistent and on their ass the whole time, exposing them every single time. They're claiming it's all for research, but they come back to the port. It just comes out in boxes all ready to be sold, and you're like, that's not really research, but it's like ready to be sold. Whale meat, they have boom, and it's like, oh man, that's. So it was, but they did, they actually pulled it off, and so I feel like, as big as it is, if like for instance your technology is now licensed out to a bunch of other guys to actually do it on an even bigger scale, it wouldn't. I mean, not to say. It wouldn't take long, but maybe within a 10-year, 10 or 15 years, I could see a huge reduction just because once you find that sweet spot where you're like, there it is, the island of trash, you pretty much got yourselves a 6-month job there, just scooping that one spot. And if you reduced it by any percentage is awesome because before it was not going to, it was just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But literally, if you could bring it down to the 30% of its original size or something like that, you'd still have enough fuel to. And the idea that I love is the process it on site, have a boat pull up and tank
Put it
it
back
out,
in. That's right.
and then bring it back. What I mean? It's like it's pretty awesome. It's like the ultimate because and it feels like it's like, well, why didn't somebody just kind of come up with that earlier? Because I thought the technology is not your own, right? You didn't invent
it. Is the science is not my own, obviously. The science has been around since many years. But to take the science, this was the project. Really was the mechanical engineering project to use the science. Right? So we used the science, we applied it in the mechanical parts, and it worked. Whereas if you build a machine too big, science and technology and mechanical engineering butt heads. Right? It didn't work. We got to make the machine small or big. That's why it took us 4 years just to do it.
Right. And so before that, it was people had done it in a lab, maybe on a small scale.
Yeah, laptop stuff. I mean, some machines came out of China, but they polluted. They were dangerous. They blew up. They weren't to the standards that we construct in. So it was always out there. Unfortunately for the industry, there were many failures. But
well, because there's also like, for instance, like oil spills. There's been a lot of enzyme kind of related or algae related, and kind of recycling things in that way. But when it came to bags, there was always kind of like one of those. Well, now what are you gonna do with it? You know what I mean? Once you scooped it all up, and it sounds like you guys got a good handle on that. So what's on the horizon? So as far as like if let's say this thing starts to happen, and let's say when it starts to happen, not if, but when it starts to happen, and you got your sights on something else that's
you mean what's next?
The next big irk in your world that you're like, what really grinds my gears, and then all of a sudden you're like, boom, let me hear what you got.
There'll be a lot of research done on CBD. That it's going to be in our next business.
Really?
There's no question. I feel that there is that medicinal end is there, and we're not even scratching the surface. We just need better research.
Right. Well, there was a hemp expo here recently, and they did an award ceremony. One of our guests, Verona Carpio, put it together, and they had this one girl who won a lot of awards, right? She I forget the name of her company, but it's funny because everything that she went for was like, she sat around and thought about it. She's like, how about hair loss? A Viagra replacement, she was like on point, and everything she did seemed to work because every time I was like, she was like, man, they won with that too. I was like, she's like, yeah, we had it tested by the judges. Actually tested it apparently. We hope. But so she literally went like right after probably the biggest pharmaceutical and sort of angles possible, which kind of goes to show you that like cannabis and CBD. Pretty much, if you just want to focus on a certain thing, you probably can crack the code. Because it's so universal and it's weird. Like, it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, I guess so. It does that. Sure. Like, why not? Why the hell not? You know what I mean? And in the end, I think it's more what you really put your energy behind. Like, for instance, one thing I heard the other day, which made me think about cannabis and CBD right out of the gate, was that, like, crazy numbers, like it was either 3 out of 5 or even 4 out of 5, like, women over 60 have thyroid issues in America. You know, it was like, wow. Like, my mom had, like, she had Hashimoto, which is, like, you know, eats its own, like, basically just knocks it out.
Yeah.
So you don't have a thyroid anymore. And, you know, then you have to be on prescriptions for life. Sometimes it messes with body weight, things like that. But it's just weird because it seems like that number is way too high. Like, there's something universally wrong there. And then CBD, I feel, is like especially if you get like a 1-to-1 formula. And so then you're really creating, I was trying to explain to these guys, like, homeostasis at that point. That's what it is in the plant, so it seems like it would transfer into the person, like, hey, look, this is balanced perfectly. Whereas if you have certain conditions, certain extreme ones work, but I feel like a lot of those extreme ones don't do anything for a lot of people, whereas those 1-to-1s, it seems to work almost on, like, oh man, my arthritis, or, you know, that arm that always hurt, or just something. It's like, it's more universal, kind of covers all bases. And then it's like, if it's, and also 1-to-1 is very good for epileptic seizures and things like that, which is a huge portion of this whole thing. So yeah, I think with the right people behind it, kind of like picking something like that, like, I'm going to get to the bottom of this thyroid issue. You know, what the fuck's going on here? I'm saying somebody who took 2 years could probably piece it together and come up with a CBD remedy for that. You know, just because it's like we're getting into these things where it's all food related, as we kind of talked about earlier. It's probably, you know, you could definitely address it with that, but since everybody's so pill related, they want to have something. So you're like, all right, here, try this one. And
it's almost like we have to educate people in this country, not to necessarily look at a cure, but look how to prevent it, how to live more healthy.
Yeah.
Because we're so on this pharmaceutical, oh, is there a cure for this, a pill for this, is a pill for this, instead of, hey, how about we just, like, live healthier, and you wouldn't have, like, 90% of the problems y'all are living with these days.
Yeah, prevention.
And actually, like, another guy who just rolled in from here is the guy that I wanted to introduce you to, because he is working hard on CBD plants already. He's down in Trinidad. I'm of course talking about Mr. 2 himself, who's not in the room anymore. But when he comes back, you can tell him that he's allowed to come in at some point. We'll have him take over his spot since he's such a talkative. No, you get to stay. You're staying. You're not going nowhere. We'll have him jump out since he's talking too much anyway. He's fucking up our flow.
Hi, my name's Kevin.
He's the KTI of the crew today, where he's just like, KTI is really high. That was what he usually says. But anyway, 2 is the guy responsible for bringing Charlotte's Web to Colorado. Right, and so he got jacked out of the gate with that. So he's one of my friends. He's one of my classic friends. All my friends are the guys who got jacked, right? So he's the guy that came here, brought Charlotte's Web, worked for a company here, who then, you know, when regulations changed, kicked him to the curb because he couldn't go forward. He had an old felony that, you know, was like, oh, you can't do it, even if it's weed related. You know, the classic, the same old story. Got kicked out, and on the way out, it was like, oh yeah, by the way, all these genetics are ours. And then the Stanleys were involved with that group, and then they took that thing to the fucking, you know, like when, you know, tried to basically pimp that shit out like a nasty little whore, you know what I mean? Instead of treating it nice, like a good plant, it was like, we're gonna make people pay through the nose, line them up, 60 a day, bop, 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 you know what I mean? You're gonna be tired, girl, let me tell you, you know. And I was like, wow, these guys are rough, but in general, with a Mormon twist, of course. Do that with some little more, you know, with a completely like off, like what? You know? So anyway, then on top of that, he, you know, also recently has sort of had some other new discoveries with some awesome genetics, and same sort of deal. The group was trying to jack it up. You know, it's just like, wow, this is what happens in our world, which
is the industry.
Yeah, that's how we get treated usually. But in the end of the day, he's still super dedicated for all his patients, and he's still putting out really good product. And so I wanted to introduce you to him anyway. And so now that he's here, but he's not in the studio, he might show up at some point. We'll see. If he does, we'll roll him in, and then we'll do the switcheroo, and then you'll know exactly who he is, and he'll try to. Whenever he's here. Yeah, he'll. Yeah, you instruct him when he gets here that he's on the hot seat.
Get in there now.
Exactly. But yeah, since we're all talking about CBDs here. Do you plan on looking at it from a strictly medical point of view, or are you
Yes.
going on? Yeah. Okay.
And to do away with just different diagnoses, right? So an early part of my business career was in healthcare, so I've seen all sorts of different ailments that people have, whether it's soft tissue, weekend warrior stuff, all the way down to high blood pressure and what have you. So luckily for me, I have an older sister. She's just a few years older, but she just retired from the pharmaceutical industry. So we are sort of partnering up now to find the right mechanism and the right area of the world to do our research on CBD research.
Yeah, and it's. Go ahead. You were gonna say something?
No, I was just agreeing. I liked what he was saying.
No, it's a huge industry which is about to change a lot of people's opinions, as it does. It's weird because cannabis is one of those things where, as old as it is and has as much as there's always been you go to a party and who's the stoner, and it's a small percentage of the people. Most people are drinkers and they're all not paying attention, and then there'd be the one guy, and then at a certain point, it's starting to spread where. What you notice now is those people have aged so much better than their counterparts who have just partied on, and so we've gotten to the point where it's my friends have had heart attacks, and they're it's like, oh shit, we're all getting old, we're all in our late 40s, early 50s, moving on up, and everybody's kind of you can see right away the damage done by certain drugs, especially pharmaceuticals is quick, you know what I mean, and it changes people really rapidly, physically, and cannabis is weird because everybody that I know who smokes a lot of cannabis looks really young. It's weird. And they're also this whole myth that we're all fat and fucking lazy and all that. It's actually almost, I have a few that that's just the way they are. They've always been that way. But for the most part, none of my friends became fat after they started just smoking weed. It's opposite. If they quit alcohol and all of a sudden you lose 20, 30 pounds, it's all in your face and it's all in this, it's all in these, oh dude, you look like a totally different person. And I quit a year ago drinking and lost definitely all, I had guys who never saw me in person, only saw me in this frame, and they were like, dude, I thought you were 300 pounds. I'm like, what? 300 pounds? I never even been 200 pounds. So it's but it's just the appearance because it's just that.
I quit a year ago too, actually.
Yeah.
Don't regret it at all.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
it was in February.
Drinking?
Saves me a lot of money.
Drinking, yes.
Yeah, February 23rd last year. So it's been a year and a week, and it was one of those deals where I didn't plan on it, so it was kind of even better because I didn't it wasn't I was in a situation where I had to do it and people were like, dude, you gotta quit, bro. It's just I did it and I just
I noticed my face too changed and I just felt healthier every single day. It was great.
Cleared up, right?
And everybody
better.
and everybody on top of that is way more you go to a party and you talk to somebody like you. And all of a sudden we realize, look, we remember everybody. Hey, next day we see each other. Yo, what's going on? You remember, and you're that was totally a way more useful night in a sense because I'd be out, and be rah, and be all by the time you got home, you don't remember even who you talked to at the time, and you wasted, like I said, a lot of money, and it's just and the problem was that I liked good IPAs at that point, and I lived in the fucking And actually, this is the funny part, is that, too, is my inspiration for quitting drinking, because he brews his own beer, and I saw, wow, you guys are drinking a lot of beer all day. He put on, poundage, and kind of, all of a sudden, he's 10 years younger than me, and he's falling apart. And I'm like, wait, come on, dude. You're literally 10 years younger than me, and, you got way more issues going on, and it's all alcohol-related. You don't
Right.
you know what I mean? So, and now I've kind of inspired him to slow down, so we're doing this whole thing where it's hey, and for me it was real simple. It was I'm almost 50, so I'm what do I really want to, and I quit for a little while, then I did a peyote ceremony, then I quit, and that was when I decided to quit, and that was in New Mexico, and it was in a good setting, right timing, and I was there you go, that's what I'm here for. Boom, did it, and then.
Is that what inspired you to quit the peyote?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really good, and it was awesome. And I wasn't going I need to quit. It was just hey, that's a good idea, and then it did, and it was easy to stick to because of the setting. It wasn't I went to some fucking rehab place and they were you gotta quit. You're a fucking, that's the worst. Or blacking out every day or some bullshit. You know what I mean? I wasn't like that. I was just I like beer.
Right.
It was notice, and I'm half Greek, half Irish, so the Irish genes were kicking in a little bit, and I was I'm starting to like this a little too much. You know what I mean? Like, this is not a good thing.
What part of Greece? What are your heritage?
It's Peloponnese for my grandmother, and north, like the Albanian border there, which is my grandfather's. He's the miserable side of the family, and they're the like party, woo, crew. You know, that's how they are, right? So, and
we're installing machines on the island of Crete.
Oh yeah.
And at the port of Piraeus. Greek community is excited.
Of course. I mean, there's so many locations I can imagine. Because I used to work on boats, and when I worked on sailboats, I just think of, like you were saying, different islands of trash. And it was even back then. There he is, Mr. Tutu. You're on the air. You know that, right? He does know that. He had to get beer, of course. Right? He's living up to everything.
As we're talking about it.
He's living up to everything I ever said right now. Is he coming on or what? Two, come on, get over here. Tell him we're talking about beer and CBDs right now.
Right.
So we literally are talking about beer and CBDs right now. So it's all you. Where is our star?
Man, he's got all sorts of shit.
Anyway, what's that? Oh, look at him with his props. Sprays.
Yeah, I got a grinder.
So, but island-wise, Caribbean, obviously, because we did a transatlantic, so I was stopped in the Azores. Pretty hard to catch the trash there. It's fucking major seas right there. But when you get into Spain, obviously, you got some. I'm sure you got things going on. What's going on there?
What's going on?
I was just talking about beer and CBDs. I wonder why.
I had today.
Oh yeah, right.
I got a brew.
That's because of me, man. I inspired you. I explained already that you inspired me to inspire you, and now we're all on this great path together, right? Boom.
Yeah, I slowed down.
And then you came with 2 beers because you're gonna double fist, right? Boom. What do you got?
OG.
OG. All right. Well then, here I got that. Some glue.
What's going on?
What's happening? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's a long drive up here.
I know. And you got all your things done? You're good?
Yeah, totally.
You're
Got my
all
new med card today.
very good. You're legal.
36 plants.
I know.
That's never gonna work.
Now, can you go 36?
Try, though.
Can you do? You're gonna try, right?
No, I'm gonna stick with what my county says. But my doctor was like, "There's a lot of lawsuits going on in the state regarding that 1220. So
Yeah.
there's a chance it'll be overturned. So if they do, I'd like my 36 plants when it goes up. I don't want to settle for 12 or something cheap. You know?
Yeah, I figured that was going to happen anyway, so that's exactly what we did too. Same thing. So to bring you up to speed, we have CBD farm here on this side of the room. we have recycling plastic bags into oil and to jet fuel. Let's make it sound
Mixed
super cool.
ratio alcohols.
Pardon me, sir?
Mixed ratio alcohol fuel.
No,
Or
it's
mixed fuel.
no, we extract the petroleum right out of the plastic, so it comes out as diesel. Number 2, it comes out as jet fuel. It comes out as
Nice.
gasoline. Yeah, it's.
My buddy Tom does this like kind of similar thing, but you can use any trash. Like you can
Yeah.
use dead bodies. You can use.
Oh,
you can,
that's
like,
the best.
It'll eat the whole landfill
That's right.
basically.
Best
Good
sort.
selling point.
Yeah,
that's a huge selling point.
Take it to
Well,
a
he's from
dump
Yon-
and
he's
set up
from-
a
he-
plant and just eat the dump and provide.
He's based out of Yonkers, so that might be a huge selling point for your friend. You could be like, hey, and this thing can even do
I mean,
dead
they're looking
bodies.
for
And then
people. I can hook you guys up. He's a really cool guy.
We would love to.
Yeah, sure.
Love to
fuel?
talk
You're
to
looking for
him,
people, or you're looking
No,
for?
my friend.
Oh,
who's
okay. I thought he was looking
investing
for-
in this.
Like, I need
the
fuel.
trash to fuel thing.
Yeah.
They're looking for people to team up with. So.
Not dead people.
I mean,
gotcha.
yeah, eventually.
Oh,
I'm sure that.
I thought you were looking for fuel. Like, we need to get home.
Right.
We need to get home. We need at least 3 bodies in this bitch to crank it up and get some fuel to get home. So I was kind of telling them also that you, gave them the misery story of the Charlottes, and of course the fact that you're continue to strive on. Doesn't matter. Moving ahead, looking for CBD things. Have some great, cool new stuff possibly on the horizon, but I didn't tell no details. I just said you got screwed over again, almost like double screwed over, because that's what our lives are all about.
I might get to breed the hemp for Dr. Bronner's.
Dr. Barner hemp.
No, that's
Yes, I know.
breed my own soap. That'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, we're just working on.
And how did you get that job?
This.
Of course.
People in my house. Man, it was awesome.
Hey, what do I do? I say this guy's cool. We'll send him down to 2.
We sent him with some seeds and some deer.
Good. Well, that's what
He applied for his license. He called me today. He applied for his license, in Wisconsin, and there
Yeah.
he's trying to submit this to the government or the state where he can bring in genetics from out here on a pilot program and do testing in down there. So hopefully that works out.
Yeah, that's the stickler in the entire industry is like getting genetics into your facility or into your farm, and it's like with hemp you can kind of sometimes get away with it a little bit, but at the same time it's still like this whole chicken and the egg situation. Like, so where did you know, and luckily we have some base things that are already here in Colorado, so we can kind of work off of those. But for the most part, the first things that came in, I had to go through like Kentucky and stuff. It was a nightmare, you know.
Smuggling seeds, just like old days.
Just like the old days. I mean, that's so. The first hemp field in America was in 93, 94, and it was in 94 actually was the actual one, and it was in San Diego, and the seeds were from Europe, and I sent them in the mail, so I know where they came from. But it was like one of those deals where we were running the show, and the guys were like, "We need hemp seeds," and we're like, "Sure." And we went and got the regs for any seeds. Didn't matter if it was hemp seeds or whatever, but we just got agricultural license to ship it. Called like FedEx type, you know, courier service or whatever. Had that shit wrapped up in a pallet with, and just put a sticker on it that said, "To Hempstead, California, from the CIA, Amsterdam," right? Because that was the name of my company, and it was like. I mean, this is pre-Instagram days, but it would have been the best post because it was like literally like one of those deals where you're like, this is never gonna fucking make it. A ton of seeds, you know, like half a ton or something. It was about, I think about a half a ton on a pallet. We had repacked them into black plastic buckets so that they could, you know, get on the pallet easier.
See what was in there.
And they could open them up and check it out. And it was just like, it was crazy. And it made it. And then if you look up online, you can go to 1994 Hempfield Hempstead on YouTube and see the field. And I didn't even know this existed until about 2-3 years ago. And I was just looking online. I was like, wait a minute, that's the seed. Oh, holy shit. I get to see my crop fucking coming in. And it was like crazy because they got it right to the very end. And then the DEA just drove up and fucking bulldozed the whole thing in. It was like, yep, that's what happened in 94. You know what I mean? Didn't get to keep 1 seed or 1 gram of anything to test anything. And they just like, but it was crazy because it was like, you got to see, it was proper, you know. It was like it was still a big mess in a way too, but it was pretty proper. It was like wildlife living in it, and it was like really like thick, you know. You're like, holy shit! It went from nothing, like an empty field right by the highway, to like a jungle almost, you know. That was in '94, but it was cool to see that, you know, like that was like the beginning of the hemp industry for a lot of people, you know what I mean? And for us, it was just like a bunch of kids in Amsterdam, you know, slanging seeds. and we were like, yeah, we could do that. And it's just amazing that we got it that far, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are you going to be doing this year crop-wise? Like, what's your main focus?
Breeding down these non-detectable hemp plants,
See,
different shapes
I
and
wanted
sizes.
I wanted you to say it. See, I didn't say that.
Yeah, basically, like we have dominant non-detectable genetics. So when you hit something with it, the majority of the crop just goes boom down to nothing. So, and I got some 25% CBD stuff. So basically, you just kind of, and then we got some nice. I'm working on a fiber plant, tall fiber, nice amount of like CBD and big seeds hopefully, and then we can turn that into like, you know, something big enough for a combine that you don't have to plant like plant by plant by plant.
Yeah.
That, you know, you can plant like 8,000 seeds in a freaking, you know.
Yeah. In a freaking, you know.
In a freaking acre. Right. In an acre. But yeah. And then we're just gonna try and get those like locked down, and then basically just start the.
Well, the non-detectable part is really exciting because if you think about like what the biggest problem now is that all the good plants are non-usable. So if you just start taking things that you already know are super vigorous and have like, you know, we want to see them in that situation of 8,000 plants and not all hanging inside like, what are we doing? Because there's certain plants that don't belong, like OG, forget about it. It would not even be worth trying because it's like the thing just doesn't have the vigor to grow a hemp plant. But you get something like that Cali miscut that I just got back or something like that.
Did you really?
Yeah. Original 94 Cali Mist, which grows like an inch a day when you're in like, if you grow it like in hydro or something like that, you're just like, oh my God, dude, this thing is like, you cut it down and over on the other side of a 10 or 15 feet away, like a branch comes down and you're like, what? that was over there too, because it just like sprawls out, and takes over the entire room. And that's something like that just loves to grow. Put it in an outdoor situation that actually has a long enough, photo period. And the good part is too, we're also in that situation where we don't need to finish it all the way. We just need terps, and you actually want them earlier if you really want to run it through the closed loop and stuff. Because if you go the way we like it, where it's mature, it ends up dark. And like, why is it all so dark? It's because it's mature, But if you take it at 6 weeks, it's all clear, and it's what the kids want. That's how the kids want it, man.
Just put Z's on the end.
In the front, yeah.
Zally Mists.
Yeah, Mids. Yeah.
Mids. Zally Mids.
And then couple numbers reversed in there to make it look even extra cool. Yeah, you're good.
Absolutely.
So you'll have hopefully some of those non-detectables this year, maybe.
Yeah, we're gonna do mainly like testing on our own stuff and like prepare for next year. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna get it certified, and then we get our. I never thought I'd say this, the DEA license, so we can export it. You know what I mean, or be able to sell bulk.
Like saying it.
I just want to set up I want to have a huge hemp breeding facility where we can turn out tonnage, because it's cool to you can put out an acre by hand, you can put out 30 acres by hand. Try and put out 1,000 acres by hand.
Sure.
Right.
Get enough clones from somebody to put on 1,000 acres, and then pay people to plant each one individually. Like it'll come to the point where seed will just take over,
Well, yeah, and comparatively, I mean, seed you can obviously throw down more than you need, come back and always call them out that could be a little more easy than putting the seeds in the first place. Trying to put a plant in the first place. The switch.
Yeah, we're dropping pollen next week. I bet though, starting on those land races.
Tell us about your land races.
Well, we have this Lashkar Gah, which is the last place in Afghanistan that actually smoke cannabis, as opposed to making it a hash. It's a real leathery, like chocolate, tobacco-y kind of scented plant that makes giant calxes and stays real short, and it finishes out pretty quick. So we're doing an F3 of that, and then we got some Swazi, some Durban, some Malawi compact. Some
Swazi was.
Moroccan, some Wadi Ram from Jordan. Then we're gonna do it on that OG and the G13.
I saw your list the other day.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
Then we got more. Then we got the Australians, and we just got some Peruvian land races that take like
because I had those Australians too, and I didn't spread them yet. But are they as big and vigorous as he says? Or
yeah, they're really nice.
Because those
Swazi was amazing. Too.
Those would be the ones you'd want to go if you're looking for a hemp tall, because those are 15-foot or 18-foot plants when they're grown in the right conditions. So that's why, you're kind of that'd be a good gene to. It's almost like dreadlocks, like certain people can grow long. Some people you just can't. Like my hair grows to here. That's all it does. And other people are like, that's a guy that can do that. And it's just genetics, and you can't change it. You can't be like, turn on my fucking hair gene, bro, because otherwise you'd be a billionaire, right? Because that's the switch.
You can do that somehow.
Yes, there's a switch.
Coming.
Somebody could figure it out, but
I'll subscribe.
That girl, remember the hemp chick from the? I was explaining earlier that the one girl that won all the awards, and she had
rub some CBD.
She had some hair treatment that apparently worked, and she had some little boner pill there that worked great. Good old boner pills.
CBD, huh?
CBD boner pills. No, it was. I think it was actually even. No,
she had a throat spray.
I think it was a salve. I think you had to rub it.
We make CBD.
I think it was a rubber
stuff.
What do you do?
We make CBD lube and.
Tell us about your lube. Tell us about your lube too.
It's just you met Sarah. It's the other side of the. She handles all the bath products and stuff.
Yeah, okay, that was going somewhere. I was like, whoa, wait a minute, she handles.
Yeah, she handles all the
lube.
bath side.
She handles all.
You know what I mean? I handle the tiger's blood and the hempin, and she handles all the.
All right, tell us about tiger's blood.
Well, this is great. This.
What's the ratio?
Actually, for a throat, I watched this dude at the Indo Expo spray it down his throat, and he's like, "Wow, it's like chloroseptic. I can't." Like you just did that. This is a topical, technically. So I give it to people.
That's what you do. That's what you do to everybody. Like everything you.
Here, just eat this.
Yeah, just eat it.
So
it's beard oil, but it's okay. You did the beard oil once. That was a good one.
That person.
He gave somebody beard oil as a tincture.
It was really busy at the
because they looked the same. You know what I mean? He's like, "Yeah, here you go," and the guy's like. Disappeared, and it was like, oh, where'd that guy go?
The whole and
it was like, and he's like, I just gave him beard oil as tincture. So you know the guy was like, oh.
And I found everybody else that I sold anything to within the last hour, and they just did. So I'm gonna find them next year.
One day.
Tiger's Blood's great. We got some back pain, elbow pain.
So it's a
arthritis.
spray on and rub.
Apparently a sore throat.
Spray and rub. Yeah, sore
Yeah,
throat.
apparently. Yeah, this is great. It's got 11 herbs and spices in it. Just like,
11 herbs,
yeah.
really?
No, it's probably more like 6, but it's more fun to say it like that.
All right, I knew it wasn't true.
And then the hempin is just, it's like 1,600 milligrams of hemp oil, or CBD oil, in hemp oil. It's pretty easy. And it's really potent. It's like 1.5 mgs a drop. This is great for pain. I don't know. You got some seizures. Dogs. My dogs love it. I eat it. Helps my mood. And none of this has been evaluated by the FDA.
No, of course not. And
No.
it's totally not going to cure anything, obviously.
Right.
We know that.
But yeah, I'm actually up here to buy more oil because we're just pumping out bottles.
More hemp oil?
More CBD oil. Yeah.
Oh, you are getting you're moving that quick, huh?
Yeah.
That's good. Well, that's good. Good,
Yeah.
good to hear. And what else you got? I know you had like another 3 or 4 different.
Yeah, we got like some bath salts, not the kind you smoke, but
I
like the kind you take a bath with.
know.
And we got some sugar scrub, and we got a Dirty Shirley line, which is named after my mom. Unfortunately, I don't know how that happened. And that's like the sensual bath scrub, or we got some foreplay oil, I do believe. Hey, don't laugh at me. Your wife asked for some.
Yeah, but I'm just saying because your mom now. It's like, how do you have foreplay oil with your mom?
I told her, she laughed.
That's like,
She thought it was funny.
yeah, I guess so.
It just shook her head in disbelief.
Dirty I guess with the Dirty Shirley it works. So
Yeah. I'm going to do a pet line, and then we're going to have flavored little bottles, like colored bottles that coordinate with the flavor. For like, I'm going to put some myrcene and stuff in them so you can get a little down, get a little up on the mint or whatever. Maybe like ginger flavored. I'm thinking.
This is for
for
dogs
like a
or for
stomach.
humans?
No, this is for us.
Humans.
People, yeah. I mean, I guess you can feed it to your dog.
No, but I didn't think that was a flavor
Feed
profile
people
that a
beard
dog
oil
would
and-
be appreciative of as much. So that's why I was like, okay.
Well, I'm
that's
working
human.
on a pet line that has like catnip oil and fish oil.
There
for
we
cats
go.
and
Now
stuff
we're talking.
to mellow cats out. So
That's
they're
for
all-
that's for dogs, right? That's not for humans.
Yeah, well,
okay.
I
Just
guess
checking. I don't know. You might
actually,
be...
catnip mellows dogs out too. Believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah. Now you know.
Now you know.
Yeah, the more you know.
Now you know. Do they really get as? They don't get as crazy though.
I don't think they get all like. But I know
wearing lingerie when you get home. So it's like, oh my god,
My cat.
cats have a hard time with lingerie because they get all their claws all caught in it. Yeah.
You remember my ex
Dogs
Corey?
are dealing with it. But yeah,
Yeah, she got a dog.
of course.
Named him Trevor, so it's Corey and Trevor.
Of course.
Which is awesome.
That is.
But he's a spaz, so she's been feeding him.
CBD.
She was like, "Don't let me run out of this. The dog is acting normal now." So
Despazzes your dog,
yeah, despaz is your dog.
but not
And
really. We,
people.
we can't say that. So yeah, doesn't despaz your
Well,
dog.
the FDA doesn't control what
FDA
you do
is-
with dogs, right? Like,
I don't know. I mean,
would that be SPCA starting to come after you?
Peter would definitely be after you.
Okay.
Guys. Like, what are you doing? Poisoning the dog with this crap? No.
Peter can suck it.
Hey, dude, we're officially the brand of the year from PETA, so don't even mess around.
Oh,
Yeah, there. Don't mess with my sponsors, pal. You're killing my game. Yeah, we're officially the.
well, I mean that's
the
understandable.
vegan brand of the year from PETA this year.
I mean,
For Hood Lamb, see? So yeah. How's your so you guys are now you're up were you up in Fort Collins? No, you were in Fort Collins.
Wellington.
Where's Wellington exactly on the map?
It's like 10 minutes north of Fort Collins.
Okay, so you're still in the north
Yeah.
side. Okay, exactly. No, he's the exact opposite. Like you guys are as far apart from each other as you could be in the state.
I don't think can't get any farther out of the state.
No.
Like, I mean, I'm like 15 minutes from New Mexico.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's about as close as we are to Wyoming.
Exactly. Like you guys are literally on opposite
Yeah.
ends of the state. But no, it's good because I want to definitely have you guys. You should go down and see what he's doing because if they're going to be doing a hemp farm and they're going to be looking for some help on some
You guys-
things.
How many acres?
We got 19 there, but we're going to run 10.
You got clones set up?
We have some up in the mountains. Our friend has the Auto 2s.
No, they have a greenhouse.
Right now, we want to be able to get you some other stuff too.
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely be talking about that.
See, and I want 10% of everything that gets done.
Oh, I just got done.
You got done dealed right there.
10%.
10%. 10% done deal. 10%.
I got
That's what the
done.
show's all about, dude. You got like 10% on every deal that ever happened.
Yes.
And nobody's ever paid. That's the best part. So it's going well. It's going well. What do you got? What are you drinking now? So now that I'm not drinking,
some stuff we went around and got.
is that a new version of that same guys? Is that odd 13 or
No, I wish. Actually, That guy spoiled the shit out of us the last time he came down.
What'd he do?
He brought us like just the most ridiculous beer I've had from Odd 13. They're like super duper.
See, like right before I quit drinking, I figured out exactly everything that I liked about the right hops, and I was like, oh, this is it, and then I quit. So I was like, damn. Before I was always chasing the rainbow, and you're like, where is it, bro? Is that it? Oh, nah. And then this time I was like, oh yeah, we nailed it. And then I think that was part of the reason it was like it seemed like it was a good time, because I was like, all right, now I know exactly what I like. I did it.
We kind of turned him off because we were. At that point, we were brewing like 45 gallons a month.
I know, and you were drinking.
Just drinking it between two of us. And I mean, there's no shame in my game. We slowed down, but at the same time, like, it's like when you find yourself into something, you push it as hard as you can for a little while,
Yeah, it was.
You learn about yourself.
And like I said, you inspired. It was a perfect time. You inspired me. I saw what was up ahead in my life. I was like, oh, I'm going to start brewing beer soon, and then I'll be done. That'll be it. It'll be over. Be like about a gallon and a half a day, like you.
I bought more beer brewing material the other day down in Taos.
Did you notice that downstairs is the
over there? Yeah, I saw it.
Isn't that awesome? So you can pick up stuff while you're here.
Probably go get some stuff.
I know. Anyway, where else? What haven't we touched? Because we're on our last we're on our last slide.
Were you saying
now.
that you have seizures?
Yes, they were caused by the pharmaceutical industry too.
You want to get rid of them?
I already have, actually.
Oh,
and we're trying to make our own version of that with nanotechnology on our farm.
Right on what, like nano encapsulation? Stuff
yes,
like that?
the bioavailability of it is just like astronomical compared to anything else.
We're working on actual water-soluble CBD that actually dissolves in the water, like 100%.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell us more.
I can't.
Come on.
I can't actually tell you. I promised him I wouldn't do it.
I'll buy you lunch, bro. I'll buy you lunch.
He was totally like, dude, I'm like, I'm going to tell him that we're working on it.
No.
And he's like, fine. Don't tell him anything else. No. He's probably sitting there laughing in the living room.
Tell us now. Chain him up. All right, get him. Nothing that a few, taser shots won't get. We'll get it out of you. Don't you worry.
He's the keeper of the knowledge. You have to come down and like rough him up.
Rough him up and tase him? All right, no problem. Don't tase me, bro.
He would have wanted. But yeah, so that's something we're working on, is because everybody's like, oh, I got water soluble, and we can actually make the bioavailability of CBD not water soluble in a different way, and we can magnify that by 300% and add 25% yield on.
Does it grow teeth? Does it grow teeth?
Nice.
If it grows a tooth, I'd be impressed.
I'm working.
Because that'd be the most fucking amazing thing ever.
Yeah, we're looking to expand. We have a recreational grow facility,
nice.
19 acres surrounded by state land with irrigation rights, and we have our investment proposal here with us. So we're looking to expand into that and put our entire laboratory system there. Hire elevated research solution.
You should go talk to your local water board and find out.
Welcome to the Adam Dunn Show.
Let's talk to two.
Uh-oh, who's that?
Two.
Yeah, two's right there.
Who's
Talk
that?
to him. Oh, yeah, put the headphones on.
I
You
can't
can't
hear shit. Yeah.
Give him those headphones. There you go. Oh, sorry.
NDA, don't tell him. Don't tell him. NDA.
Is that James? Yeah, no, I'm not telling anybody that one.
All right. There we go. NDA. Did you actually sign an NDA?
With who?
I don't know, with James.
Oh, no.
No, I didn't think so. No, nobody does. Well, if you do, they don't mean anything anyways. This is the cannabis world. So that's the thing about NDAs in the cannabis world. You sign it and you're like, why? Do you realize this could never go to court? It doesn't matter because of what we're doing. Even though it's like, legal in one sense, it's so like a waste of time. And I think I've signed like 100 of them. And people are like, it's like, okay, you don't really need to sign that, I don't think. But especially because a lot of times they're telling you something which is a 5-year-old idea that you're like, there's like 9 guys doing that.
Yeah.
No, so it's really cool to see like we are grassroots at this point, and like the hemp industry is going to get big, is faster than cannabis ever did.
Yeah.
And cannabis already is kind of blowing people away. Like when we were at this Vegas show. Did you go to the Vegas show?
No, I didn't make it.
But you heard about it from your friends.
Big shit show.
It was ridiculous. It was literally like you were watching. It was like 660 booths, right? So it was huge, and I barely. By the time I got halfway down, I was just like, I wasn't even looking anymore, just kind of walking.
Wasn't it like $800 if you had to pay to get in?
$800 if you just didn't know anybody and walked in and said, I want a ticket, which would be like unheard of, It was like, and it was you could see the differences in the people there. You could see that there was the money people. It was like, there's the money guy. there's the brains of the thing, and there's the marketing person or whatever. And it was always like you could see the biggest booths there were the consolidation booths, where people that were just buying up everybody, and that was becoming
Hawthorne and whatnot.
Hawthorne Group, all those guys. So they had a big area, and other guys who you could see they were doing the same thing, and people were shadowing. And then the other ones were everybody who has been in the industry for over 20 years had a one fucking thing, really simple, that they could carry by themselves. It was like nobody was trying any harder than that, because they were all just at that point where they were looking around like, what the fuck is going on? Like nobody knew, there was no chance you were going to like make a splash there unless you had $500,000 ready to just dump it on something, and it was like it was weird, because it was just definitely like the end of the road for a lot of people. I could see people everybody was just kind of figuring it out. Like, you know what? There's really no point for me to keep going if this is the way it's going to be, because it's getting out of control, size wise. So it was a eye-opening show where you walked around and went like, everybody was like in awe of how fucked it was in a way. Like it was like, wow, we're really maybe I have to think of a new career. You know what I mean? Because it was like an end of the year and the beginning of a whole new thing, which is going to be the legal weed market, which it's just a bitch fest every time somebody comes to a new place. Like Callie's bitching, like taxes and the bullshit, and we all just in the regulations, and the old cats all get pushed out. There's a lot of the same stories just repeating itself in little ways. But what I hope happens is that out of all of that, the thing that I keep telling everybody, which I hope still happens, is that the cream will rise. The thin line will be there, and it'll be all the people that have, like, at least some people. It can't be everybody, because if it's everybody, it won't work either. But at least most of the people have a complete like cannabis love for that plant, and they don't, they're those people that are still involved. That's kind of what we hope. I mean, it's slowly losing its like little love part and turning into just a money game too, and it always has been. And it's been one of those things where I always noticed that, like, I would never consider myself a great weed dealer as a 16-year-old because I smoked all the weed. I mean, I was like that kid. I was like the guy who was like, how do you smoke all the weed? I'm not making any money here, you know what I mean? So I realized that I was in it for a different reason. Then I was in it to get free weed. That was like, so I had to like sell enough to get my weed for free. That's all it was, and that's how we all learn business. That was our business 101. Right. And then, over the years, I kind of let a lot of things go by because it was like risky or stupid. And it was just kind of like, nah, I'll just, be happy with what I got and just do this. There's no reason to go like that. And
so you're saying you never did anything risky or stupid?
Oh, I did a lot of risky, stupid things.
I know you. But
I also let a lot of things go by because it was more money motivated. Like if I heard somebody talk about I was like, I got so used to failure that I realized it was like, I'm not going to even try, because a lot of this is, if you're going to do it, that's what you got to do. Back in the day, you had to like go completely underground, lose your identity in a sense. You couldn't be you and be that weed guy and get away with it too much until lately. Now you can be the Instagram, taking pictures of yourself smoking weed in an airport, breaking every law, you know what I mean? And just like stupid. People have gone completely
here's me getting shook down by the NSA.
Oh, that's me. Yeah, that happens. But but in general, it is getting to that like.
I know it. Yeah, you know a guy.
I know a guy. I always
just keeps getting shook down.
Oh, I always get shook down. You know that. I volunteer
myself. Want that.
I volunteer. That pat down. I do. I go for the free massage every
all
time.
About that.
Likes the pat down.
He doesn't like that molecular destabilizer.
No, exactly. You go through the machine. You go travel a lot. You don't go through the scanner thing, do you?
The one time that a couple of years ago I went through at Denver Airport, and it was the one that they test for any resin.
Oh yeah.
So they tested and it tested positive, and I was like, I never touched anything. It wasn't for cannabis, it was for explosives.
Yeah, I know.
So they said, stand over there. We have to pat you down, and there was a very attractive woman at the airport with an outfit. So I said, fine. No problem, I'm going to go right over there. And I stood over there, and about 10 minutes later, massive sumo, like someone from like Hawaii, those sumo. This gentleman had to be 400 pounds. He's like, I go, wait, you're going to pat me down?
Of course, she can't. She's not allowed to pat you down. You know that wasn't going to happen.
There goes that.
Yeah.
So, can she come over so I can watch her while you do it? Pretend like she's doing it?
Can she watch?
Yeah, no.
Can he watch her pat me
down? Well, I always opt out, so I end up getting searched. And then I had the same story, but it was like, weird too, but it was all nitrates and phosphorus from mixing soil. So I was like, oh, good. If you're a grower and you're going to travel,
wash your hands
really good. But Yeah, because I was mixing up soil and I stayed, like, I literally was like, oh shit, I got to get on the fucking plane in like an hour. So I like ran out, no shower, and forget about it. And then when I got to the airport, I went through the thing and I, of course, opted out. And then they do the swab on me like they always do. And then it went like 3 times in a row.
Then you shaved your beard and you stopped getting shook down.
No. That, when I shaved, it was just for a minute. But yeah, it didn't help. I volunteer, so I'm automatically going to get searched. And in the end, it's like, it's fun though, because you get to see the backside of how TSA works, and TSA is strange. It's like, it's literally a pay-to-play situation. So if you pay, you don't have to get checked, and that to me is a weird thing, because you just pay $85 and you get a pre-check.
Don't they do all kinds of background checks though? I mean, you really got to like.
But I already have
for that
barely though. Really.
But I've already got
So
all
what?
those background checks
Yeah.
for doing just to be in this stupid thing and whatever. You get background checked, so it's like all of a sudden you're like.
When
You
did
just
you get a
walk right in.
badge?
I've been badged forever.
No, you haven't.
Yes.
No.
Yes. This is my
No.
third one. What are you talking about? Of course
Get
I've been.
out, really?
Yes, I'm
I
always.
did not know that.
I've been badged, tagged, and fucking just screwed. Tagged and screwed.
Where?
Tag him and bag
Where
him.
are you?
Huh?
Are you just like I would think a consultant would need a badge, or do you have a spot?
Yeah, kind of. I feel like it's always better when you have a badge when you're cruising around too, because then you're not like, oh, I'm a visitor, and you can't. Like, I'm just like, get in there and fucking grab shit and do stuff, show them stuff. That helps, And if I need a job, like if I'm broke, need a job, pack some. I go pack some fucking.
like that.
No.
I know him for a long time too. I don't think I've ever heard him say that.
No, I'm just kidding. I am just kidding. Well, not really. I'm not really kidding, actually. Anyway, let's kind of wrap it up, because we're on our 2-hour, 30-something minute mark, and I want to hear your pitch, since you're the last on deck.
Hempin.co. Because the .com is going to cost a little extra, but check it out. Hempin.co, and it's Hempin, Colorado, if that's hard to remember. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hempin.co. CO. Yeah, we were thinking pretty hard on that. Check out the products. You can get them all on there.
Funny thing is, I don't think you were actually, were you? In the
No,
beginning? You
I
just
was like,
happened-
what can we put hemp in stuff. What can we name?
I know.
Hempin. And then you're like, yeah, hempin. And I'm like, yeah, and duh. Hempin ain't easy. We got a multitude of products and stuff that we're launching.
This is a G something.
That's that lemon.
Lemon, just straight, or this is something else?
That is the one I made for you when I got back from Amsterdam after the second place cup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
The Northern Lemon,
Yeah.
technically, or the Electric Lemon G, whatever you want to call it. But you
Is
can
that
taste it,
a
right?
Hybrid then?
The Lemon G I brought out from Ohio, and then when we went to the cup, you got to make seeds after that. So I crossed it with a Northern Lights 5, really old pollen times the lemon, and I crossed it back on it. So it's a little more sturdy
I
than
like
the
the
regular
lemon.
one.
What does your full spectrum hemp oil go for?
These?
Yeah.
I don't know, like $40, $50.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then
it's a
they
good
get
price
way
point.
cheaper if you want to be like a distributor. You want to buy more than 50. Like I'll cut.
Did you see?
I'll cut it down. I'll cut somebody. Yeah. I'll
Saw the
slice it, throw it
infomercial.
on.
Have you seen the infomercial at night with the CBD salve? Have you seen
Get
that?
out,
one?
really?
Yeah, it's like a total GWC or whatever. Or it's like they have they show a picture of a guy, and it's like they don't say cures, but they show like pain here, there. It's like everywhere, pretty much. Boop, 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 boop.
My landlord went down to Yuma, and I guess there's a lot of, he's got an RV, so there's a lot of retired people that drive down on the RV. He gets to Yuma, and then they decide there's like a street fair kind of thing with a football field size tent, and there's a CBD, like basically like the Amway of CBD.
Right.
You know what I mean? Set up like, we got all these products, and I'm a brand ambassador and stuff.
Oh my God! Pyramid scheme? A pyramid scheme
our-
of CBD. All right, and
our,
Mr. Canosa is going to exit stage left.
I'm going to head up, but thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for showing up. And
pleasure.
wait, before you leave, give us like a website or anything that people can check out, because if there's anything like that.
www.goldenrenewable.com.
Is there a picture of the machine yet?
There's everything on there.
Oh yeah, cool. All the stuff we.
Everything's on there. Yeah,
Nice,
check it out.
nice.
Yeah.
And the guy with the thick New York accent, that'll be him.
Yeah, that's me.
That'll
I
be
have a card for my friend that's doing the trash.
I will. I'm going to give it. I don't have any cards on me. I'll get it through.
Yeah.
I think you guys would. Tom's a good guy.
Oh, I'd love to see
yeah.
you. Sure.
And you can dispose of bodies, right?
I mean, yeah.
That's the most important part. I mean, really, that's the most important detail. That's the most important detail I told out of that.
Plants where we take in all the trash and whatever he's done.
Thank you very much.
Taking all the trash, even So sure.
And
once we
Nicky's out of here. He's out of there. Nice. And he's doing trash to oil or trash to
Mixed alcohols, like 20 different alcohols it turns it into.
Uh-huh.
But you can basically clean a dump up. You go there, you build this, give people jobs, like, and just eat the dump.
Eat the dump.
Yeah.
It's cool.
That's real cool.
Yeah, and then you know, like, we were talking about doing it down in the Caribbean because there's limited amounts of space for trash down there, you know. And it's like you can only have so much trash on an island before you're like, so you know, you can become like the trash guys of the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
Just go
kind of like the pirates, but now you're the trash. Yeah.
They pay us to take the trash. You go make fuel and sell it back to them.
I could see you in that. I could see you in that.
Like the trash guy.
Totally.
But yeah, so my landlord went and met the
Somehow.
brand ambassadors to all this crappy CBD stuff, and I had sent him like cases of stuff. So he stood off to the side and just basically hustled our gear, like down at the tent and then back. He had like he's pretty much serving up like all of his friends.
Did he have like
so
a little real CBD sign over here, like real CBDs over here?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
But no, but he like sent me all the prices and they were ridiculous. People can't believe people, and that's all isolate based bull.
Yeah,
you know?
I live in Florida. I'm from Florida,
Yeah.
and it's outrageous what I see there. Like $100
Yeah, this bottle like
for isolate.
$125 or something.
Yeah,
down there.
that's why I was surprised. You have full spectrum and that amount of like CBD milligrams, and it was like that should be like $120 minimum.
Yeah, that's
you
what
know,
our
in
point
Florida.
is to murder, not really, literally. Well, maybe to get the bodies for the fuel now.
Yeah.
You know, like kill the market because honestly, like this shouldn't cost that much. Like we try and be the most affordable. You know, like I mean, I don't need to make 10,000 times what I put into it. No. You
That's
know?
what we're trying to do. We're trying to create a division of our company to give it to people who can't afford it too, and on a sliding scale base, so people who can pay more can cover people who can't. You know, and stuff.
And you know, when you do the business, you're allowed to give away a certain amount. So I try and
Right.
donate to like kids with epilepsy and stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm about to make a CBD deodorant for. We're gonna start this. That's horrible. We're gonna start this not for profit called Save the Tatas. And then we're going to give away, for every couple we sell, we'll give one to a breast cancer
That's what I thought. It
a
was
patient
really
or a
cute.
survivor. Because, you know, you're not supposed to be using that.
Yeah, everybody does. They use the aluminum, and and women shave too, so it creates openings to actually absorb it better. You know, and it's just kind of insane that somebody hasn't thought of it earlier.
I mean, you can call something Save the Tatas if you're like really trying to save. I mean, that's not like too repulsive in this day and age, right?
You may get lynched, dude. I don't know. I'm not gonna.
It depends.
I mean,
no matter what you do, you're gonna piss someone off. So,
but I mean, Susan Komen doesn't give any money to breast cancer, and she saves a ton of it. So, or she doesn't save it. She gets a bunch of money for it and then doesn't give it up. So, might as well.
Does she not?
No, she's a horrible. You should check
Who?
into that. Susan G. Corman, who runs the
main
little-
breast cancer lady.
Yeah, she doesn't give any of the money. Maybe she does a
gives
little.
something.
But
She has to give something.
you might want to look it up. It's pretty horrible.
Like the bare minimum is pretty bad anyway. It's like one of those deals where you're like, it's like 4% or something.
Yeah.
Like that, if that even. And I can see that.
and I think most of the big so-called charities
bigger
are
they
at
are.
like four, as little as they can possible, and then they're all living on $100 million salaries.
Exactly. Like I make
freaking disgusting.
Well, you know,
$500,000 a year being a
there's
charity.
there's another scam like that too, which is that whole recycled clothing thing where there's one of them which
Like
is
Goodwill
owned-
and stuff?
Yeah, but it's one that's in the parking lots and it's not Goodwill and it's like another guy and it looks real like it seems all like it's all U.S. is in the name U.S. something, and the guy who owns it lives on like a ridiculous island and he's not American at all and he doesn't give a fuck and the stuff sends it all to Africa and has people pay like it all gets sold, nothing gets.
Tom's, you heard of Tom's shoes?
Like only
they're
a
not
4%.
like the most.
What about them? Yeah.
I heard that they're not like the most legit. They're not really like.
That's
Not every pair gets another pair.
Right.
Like every 100th pair, probably.
It's almost like it's almost so bad these days that if anybody even does anything nice, you're almost shocked.
Yeah, well, what you do notice though too is that a lot of people. Okay, everybody has to have something attached to it to make them look good, but then it's do they really follow through or not? You
No.
know, like it's like very few of them do. Like our sponsors, like Seeds Here Now, when he does something, 100% of everything goes to the charity. You know what I mean? So it's like
totally.
he doesn't.
Right.
He doesn't. He
raised
does.
a bunch of money a minute ago for something cool too, right?
Well, I mean, not cool. It was never. It was
Not
always
cool,
like,
but he,
it
like,
was like
raised a bunch of money for,
fire.
like,
It was like
a
Santa
good
Rosa,
cause.
Santa Rosa fire
That's what I meant, not
victims,
cool.
and individual.
Dude, they were California murder.
cool, bro. No, actually, it wasn't so cool, but it was a good cause. And again, like 100% of that shit, all good. So that's on Seedaholics.com. Yeah, I gotta do a commercial plug for him at the end. That's how you pay the bills right there. Booyah.
Seedaholic?
Seedaholics.com. You don't even know what that is?
What's Seedahol?
Seedaholics.
Yeah, I know, but you got like alcoholics, like alcohol. Yeah, so what's Seedahol?
Man, I never really looked into it. I did not delve into the name that much, but you get the idea.
Like chocoholics, what's chocohol?
You got a point, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could work an entire set off of that one for stand up. Yeah. That would be an intro. That's your intro.
Damn it all.
Yep. Piss everybody off. So you are going to be putting out some hopefully non-detectables within a year or two.
Yeah, I'm not in a big hurry. I would hope to get them out by next season.
Mm-hmm. Luckily, I know you, so I'll hopefully get a couple to be able to try it.
We're working on it.
Come on, you're giving me some. You're giving me some.
I got to find a good lab that I can count on that does good testing.
You got one. Just hand them over. This is part of the deals that get done. The done deal on the show. Everyone heard you. You said it.
10%.
There you go. Oh, yeah. I'll just take it in. I'll take it in seeds, bro. I'll take it in seeds. That way I can do. You know. There you go.
10% seed.
No, nothing like that. Nature. So, and you guys have a website that's.
No, we're still haven't got to that point.
Well, I mean, I bought the website, but there's not a lot on it right now.
No.
But Battle Lamb Organics.
Oh yeah, Battle.
I got .com, .co, .org, .net. I got everything.
Not like this guy.
Yeah.
Battle Lamb.
Battle Lamb Organics.
You like
Battle Lamb?
Yeah. How cool is that?
He's hoodlum.
I mean, we're like, we have to get her battled
Lamb's
up.
wool?
Oh my god, dude! There's too many coincidences in one day. Too many
That's
coincidences.
cool, the battle lamb?
Yeah.
Like a ram?
Lamb.
I know, but like,
yeah.
you never see lambs fighting, really.
Not too often.
My grandmother is designing the logo, and it'll be a lamb in armor and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I want to make a plush toy version and give it to kids that are going through chemotherapy with the CBD in it, like a little pocket of it and stuff, you know?
Stash spot, even.
Yeah, or for you guys too, whatever you want to put it in.
Stash spot.
New stash spots.
What's that?
Yeah, kid.
Oh, I know.
No.
Troublemakers. We're getting surrounded. They're all coming. You see them, feeling them all. You feel the lurk. What's going on in there?
I'm going to steal his face. It's going to be awesome a little later.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Here it goes. See, the last time we see him. I'll see you later, kid. So, I think we're on our final rounds here. Anything else you guys want to add to the mix before I...
Jeremy Silva kicks ass.
We love
And you should
Jeremy.
order stuff from Build the Soil, even if they're not a sponsor. Are they still
He is
sponsored?
of course he's a
Then
sponsor.
yes,
He's
you should.
yeah.
He'll take care of everything. If you need a whole truckload of soil,
That's the man.
for the summer. He's the man. If you get your soil tested and you need to amend it the right way, you call him.
And we have
he
actually
will help you do that.
We actually have one new sponsor who we just got on the website. Both logos of
Hempin.co.
Wow. Finally, huh? Who's that?
Hempin.co. Your new sponsor, Hempin.co.
Hempin.co. They have to pay us some money. Those bitches.
No, I'm sorry. My new sponsor, the Adam Dunn Show. That's right.
Yeah, Hempin.co is sort of sponsoring.
Who's new though?
I know you leave those behind. That's your sponsorship.
Well, I was
right?
gonna give- well,
I know she gets one.
well,
We're
she
giving her.
kept selling her control,
No,
she
she's
doesn't need
gonna. Of course she needs it. She can take it. Try it.
It's good.
Always need more.
I brought hundreds.
No, we have a Petey. Remember Petey?
No kidding. Like
Australian Petey.
yeah,
Tusky, mate. Oh yeah.
I can think of many things, but we'll
yeah.
just keep it that
Tusk
Tusk
mate.
and Australian. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. So you know. So anyway, he makes he carved from. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's such a controversial thing because.
But no, they were already dead.
They were mammoth tusks. So he gets a mammoth tusk from Siberia, and then he carved them into little
They look like one hitters.
They were basically you roll your joint and use it as a long filter, so it'd be about that long or bigger, and it was made out of ivory, but it was mammoth ivory, so it was ancient.
cool.
So it wasn't like they killed any elephants, but it was kind of weird because when you're smoking, I always felt weird because it was like someone's not going to believe you, but he had the certification. But it's one of those deals.
Everyone was in a little box with the numbered certification. And everything.
Yeah,
They were all different shapes and sizes.
Yeah, it
Well,
was
they were all the same kind of shape.
pretty cool. But anyway, his new venture in Barcelona is a social club called Treasure.
What is it?
Treasure. It's Tresor. So it's Treasure and it's
Are there diamonds?
He's got London police art everywhere. He's got Gallo art everywhere. So he's got to like literally feel like you're back in Amsterdam because he's got all our favorite artists there. Did all the interior. Feels like you're back at my place.
They
Also,
rocking snob glass out there.
and not really. Not going to be snow glass out of there yet. But we'll see if maybe we can get Carl back on point. He's all like a lot of glass blowers. He's thrown in the towel. It seems like he's just like whatever, bro. It just sucks because no one knows who he is. He's always come on, Carl. He's such a good artist,
Yeah.
and people do know who he is, but he's just one of those guys who can't keep up with the
Like most artists can't function in normal society.
Yeah, pretty much the same way as that goes exactly. But Treasure is in Barcelona, in the heart of Barcelona. I don't have the address in front of me, but you can check out on our website. We have the logo up there now, and I believe we'll have a little update from him with some details.
Well, Spanish is coming up, right?
That's right. It's next week. So if you are going to go to Spain, which a lot of people will, keep an eye out for that shop. It's going to be, and he's not, I mean, literally, Nick T's going over there to do some cup at this other HQ place. And there's all these other shops there that are all like, wah, 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 wah. But that'll be like, actually nice to go to a really chill place with people who are, we know they're going to treat you right. That's one good thing. And they always have some great.
He's a classy guy.
He is telling me it's crazy, dude, how much people are like back on it again with flavors and stuff. Like people actually care. Like they didn't care in Amsterdam as much at a certain point. It was like, whatever, just give me whatever.
We start coming up here and they're like, what?
And then all of a sudden it's like now Barcelona is like on, it's Gelato 33. People are smoking like, flavors that were all just people haven't even tried and sometimes in, inside of America because it's only still pockets of people, but they're all into Jungle Boy stuff and they're all into all this hype strains. And so it's kind of funny. It's like, but at the same time, like MK Ultra still reigns there, hard. So certain strains of us are just kind of like locked in, but people are all right now. It's all about the hype, bro.
Polyhybrid crap.
Polyhybrid
crap, yeah.
Yes. There you go. That's it. That's what they want. I want that poly. But the thing is, it depends. It depends what your final. If you're just thinking about doing one thing, it's fine. Go for it. Pick out something good and run with it. But right now, what you're doing with the land races and stuff is way more convenient for the whole world because it's actually you're not bottlenecking everybody up with. That's what the problem with when I'm sure breeding dogs. This guy knows what's up. What's happening is everybody's working with already fully mixed polyhybrids, putting them together and like getting one out of 452,000 combinations that they could have had. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, oh wow, dude. And it's cool. They can get good stuff. It's not saying you can't grow good weed, but then they're taking that and crossing that with 3 others, and it's like there's really no.
And those 3 came from like 10 other things. And those 10 things came from like 20 other things.
And so the recessive things that pop up, can be. It's funny too because you can just. Some people can just go down the right path by mistake. Oh, boom, 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 and all of a sudden they got something really dope. But other people are like, oh man, dude, everything you did is just fucked. You know what I mean? Like everything is like weird and brittle branches and things falling apart. And kind of like no integrity in some ways. There's something missing. And like,
or it runs good once or twice, and then it starts to just go real.
Yeah, real bad. It just has no stability left. So
most people breed to breed. They don't really try to. Really get into selective breeding.
True, and there's what's only happening recently is enough numbers to make it work, because that's the problem.
Yeah, like when we were listening to Tommy speak the last time, and he was like, yeah, so basically it takes about 600 plants to get down to the one plant that I want.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple other extra ones.
And that's even doing it like pretty, like minimalistically as far as numbers go. Like he hit the nail pretty good, because most people, it'd be better if you had 10. It's always the same. It'd be better the more you had. If you can spot it.
That's the coolest part about breeding hemp is that you can have as many plants as you want as long as they're all, it's like...
it's dangerous too, because if you have that many plants, you don't really know what you got in one way. If they're riding the line, like if they're at 0.26, 0.28, then you're like, fuck, you might as well cut them all down at that point, because you're going to definitely have some that are at that. It's like baking a cake.
A lot of the stuff in the state will go hot, so be careful when you guys go.
Right,
to get absolutely. Them. Make sure you have a good lab, because you want to make sure that you can... There will come a time when you have to file that harvest report, and then the state picks, randomly picks people who they might come, and if they... I've heard of I heard about 100 acres going hot last year, and like various people who bought certain seeds from a certain someone. Well, they all ran hot, and Hermie And the next thing, like, and then where I was at, this dude put up 3 football fields of like some $30 pound hemp seed, and just dropped like the most nasty amount of gross pollen, and like it pissed off all the rec growers and the local guys. And stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gotta be real careful on the strains you pick.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is why it'd be cool to have them all non-detectable. Then you can start them all, not have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that we are. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, we'll definitely be in touch on
Dialed
on seeds.
Yeah, hopefully that just yields more CBG if that THC's not coming up, you know.
And that's when the numbers will be really interesting, because when you get CBG and those things that are so minute normally, it doesn't mean much if you have 10 pounds, but if you have 10,000 pounds or 100,000 pounds to work with, and then you're pulling out, even if it's a small percentage, now you're actually getting a kilo or whatever of something that's like, oh shit.
A kilo of CBG would be pretty nice.
That'd be pretty crazy,
Make
right? That would be pretty dope. That's like
one
one
brain work right.
Yeah, well, it's definitely one of those things where you know that's
it's
like,
a
holy
grow,
shit,
yeah.
that's some serious, like, that's like mining for gold in a situation where you have to pick up like micro specks in a sea of like, you know, thousands of fucking cubic
This oil,
meters of
well,
stuff.
some of the oil I'm going to pick up this weekend has like it's a little bit distillate from a friend, but it's the stuff that was grown last summer, and it's got like a 2.6 CBG on it. I was pretty impressed.
That's high.
Yeah,
That's really high. Yeah, anything in the percentage points at
that
all.
that's a distillate too, not a plant. You know what I mean? Like the
Oh, okay,
distillate
the
came
distillate
to
came.
2.6.
Oh, okay. But what, you don't know what the plant was? Point
There was some in there, I guess, right? Enough to-
0.0002. Yeah.
When you crush it down that far.
Uh-huh. Well, but I've heard of some people like Nick Boulder Wellness. Nick's got a pretty good one, like over 1%, like a 2%. You know, like
Straight CBG.
Yeah, just plant. Yeah, out of the plant. So you know that's gonna fucking be the.
I see a lot of that coming out with more science in a minute. You know?
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be hard, and it's also easier for them to kind of like before it was unheard of to like strip one or the other, which now it's like no, it's doable. But
distillation.
yeah, it's just another step. You know what I mean? And it's like okay, no, we can do that, and that should make it possible that you can, because it's all about what goes to the public, not what is. They don't even really care. You know, at a certain point, it's just kind of what. But they do, of course. If it's in the living material, you can't get around it. But when it comes to the whole breaking it down, it almost seems like if you had the right facility with the right licensed machinery,
And there are plenty
that they
of those in Colorado now.
Yeah, that they should be able to understand like you're remediating it and kind of disposing of the THC. So I'm going to come by and pick up all the THC, dispose of it for you guys. That'll be my job.
All that THC-free distillate that you see out there, they use chromatography to pull it out, and then you can just easily reclaim all the THC as like its own oil out of there as you So it like pulls it all apart, and then you could. So it's I don't know what they're doing with it. You know what I mean?
No,
but it's totally possible to.
It is.
Yeah, I mean when it doesn't
science. You need the science. You need the science.
It's
science.
It to where you can pull it out.
Yeah. It's all possible, bro.
Science.
Well, I look forward to the day when we are taking that Australian strain, crossing it with the right hemp strain, and all of a sudden having some 18-foot fucking high CBD. Crikey, man. Yeah.
The Swazi was really one of the nicest plants that we grew. Real, just big and long internose and strong. And, I mean, it was pretty from seed. And we cloned it, so it doesn't look as great as a clone, but like the seed just looked amazing. And so did the Malawi has the nicest, thinnest leaves you've ever seen, and the Durban's got all kinds of weird phyllotaxy things, like where the pre-flower would be. It looks like a male, it grows a branch. You know, there's like it's a female.
Yeah.
So we have them all spaced out about 3 foot apart instead of like crammed in like a canopy. So because every day we got to walk through, because I mean these are untested, hand collected by by Tal. So. We want to make sure there's a propensity maybe to go Hermy in there, but we're using like a daylight bulb as opposed to like orange shit, like they would be.
Oh, you're actually doing that. Good job.
Thank you, Solostech, for that. But yeah, so we keep them all apart, and every day we go in there and inspect them and look and make sure that no one's throwing bananas or no one looks kind of weird, because we don't. That's one that would just screw up the whole project. So the clippers are waiting. But so far so good, and I think once we make these, I think I want to put on the packages that like land races are gentle plants. They don't need, they don't need like 1,500 parts per million of psycho 3 times a day. You know what I mean? Like they grow naturally. They're not used to that kind of food. So if you take care of them and feed them nice and slow, I think that they'll,
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the day when I was trying to grow like things that I'd collected from different sort of imported weed, and it was always like it was like woodsy flavors and bizarre. Like when they finally they get these beautiful buds, and then but I didn't. I wasn't really good at this is like back in late 80s or whatever, and I was like early 90s, and it was kind of like these seeds were all the ones that I'd collected a little bit earlier, and so I was like finding it like. Now I know that they were actually really good, but at the time it was like, this tastes like crap. But it was just like, I didn't, it was also timing, definitely didn't let it go long enough, and didn't express nearly what it could have.
That Burmese that you did with the buku, I like that. That
surprisingly enough, I just got that clone back actually.
The real Burmese?
That one that you were talking about.
Had a really good buku come out, and then
and I got bunch of them back again, so it's like getting all these. I'm getting gifts. I'm getting showered in gifts now. It's a shitty thing of like now we're with the 12 plant thing. I'm like, where do you put them all? You know what I mean? Now I got stop giving me plants.
Like 10 places.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Burmese wreckage, what else? Cushage.
Oh, I like that.
That same Cushage one from back in the day too. So I got all those back from somebody who had them. In Spain, and managed to get them somewhere. I managed to be here somehow magically. I don't know how, but they're here, and that was pretty awesome. I was like, oh wow, it's like some interesting things in a hog, but not my hog, but then crossed with something else. So it was kind of close.
Pimp that tea sage.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the tea sage is the bomb. I know. I'll get you. I need to get you one.
Yeah, I don't really know what to do either. Like we're kind of funneling away from all the. We don't sell weed because you're not even. I mean, even if we were allowed, we're not selling weed. So it makes more sense to just, rock a crop for us to smoke and then make seeds.
There you go.
The whole time.
This is the philosophy of two. Have you been writing any more of your non-real quotes lately? Because those were good.
No, but they're so much fun to sit and think of. That was pretty good, right?
Lasted a day or so. Can you remind us of one or two? Remind us of one or two. You remember? Do you remind us of your 2 favorite ones?
Start a Twitter and do it or something.
No, I need to get back on that.
He basically made
that
up.
was pretty funny.
Made up non-real quotes from people that made. They were good.
Pass me the doobie, Jeff Sessions.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you got to keep on that. I was waiting. I was like, oh, good. I got something to live for. And you took it away from me. You took it away from me, my friend. I was like,
you know what I mean?
Oh, man, he didn't even come through with that. This guy sucks. He lost me.
What's sad is the amount of people that were like sharing it, thinking it was real, right?
No, I think pretty much everybody knew.
No, because I announced, I'm like, hey, I think I'm going to start making up fake quotes.
Yeah.
It was fun. You know what? You inspire me to maybe do that. Because a quote a day, that's...
Yeah, I mean, once you get rolling, though, you're going to be really like, oh, man, the stress is on. You'll be so stressed about what your quote is.
Well, that's what kind of, for a while there, I'm like, what the fuck am I going to put up here?
Yeah, I noticed it lasted 2 quotes and you were done. I was like, well, that didn't last very long.
I'm on it. I didn't say it was going to be, an everyday thing yet. I'll try.
You should. I think you can. I think you'll look back and you'll be like, dude, I can now open up a fucking, like, your own fortune cookie shop or something like that. You'll be like, I got all it.
Book.
Used
or
quote.
a fake quote book.
That could happen. That could happen. Stranger things. So you guys are going to have your website up soon. So look for battlelamb.cocom or org.
Battle Lamb Organics.
Oh, Battle Lamb Organics. Oh, man. I knew. See, if I didn't fuck it up, it wouldn't have been real. It would not have been an Adam Dunn intro. Close.
Thank you for having us, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
It was cool. It was definitely cool. And if I waited for him, it would have only had him for the last 10 minutes of the show, like usual.
I didn't get my medical card renewed.
I know. But it's all right. It's all right. I want to thank
Colorado
also Nick
medical
Canosa
marijuana
for coming in and getting us on that tip too, because I think that's another major piece of the puzzle is consumption and return of energy that hemp and does when it's own, and then all of a sudden you bring in the factor of like, you know, something like that technology which can take in trash, then your other friend's technology which could eat up all any kind of other
Any
trash.
kind of trash.
So his is in the. But the thing about theirs is really dope is it's so streamlined recently. Like I saw like the big one that was like, oh shit, it's a whole city block.
You were telling me about that on the way back from the Emerald Cup when when you were driving. You were like, "Have you seen this?" And then I told you about my dude because you were saying, was that you that said you can build your own out of like a? Is that you I was talking to about that?
No.
You build your own like plastic to diesel fuel thing. It's there all over YouTube. Like basically, you can feed it. You can go buy like a pallet of plastic bottles that are all crushed, and then you can take them home and you build this little furnace and you do this little thing, and it spits diesel out the other end, and it's for like pennies on the dollar. It seems like a lot of work. Disgusting fumes coming out the top of it.
Well, I think he streamlined all that and made it into like a actual, chug and not a backyard version, but that's cool. Yeah, I think it's the technologies. I mean, we're at that point now where we've polluted enough, and I think it's anything we can do to help the earth in that way and heal the earth and heal ourselves, and it all starts in the gut, right? So. In the human gut, and then all of a sudden the trash gut. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same thing. So he's creating the
gut.
CBD. That's what get your biome looking healthy again. And I mean, I think it's one of those. It's weird because it is like a lot of people are trying to heal themselves, and then they don't think about food, and food is like the most important obvious. And like I got a 5-year-old, so it made it really obvious in my world. I was like, all right, he's going to eat organic, and he's going to eat the best of this, and we just try to funnel the right food into that kid so he can. And what we noticed was, like a lot of hemp seeds, a lot of blueberries when he was a baby, and things like that were all, you didn't think about it as later. You're like, this is good for your brain. It's like, no, when you're growing a brain, it's like really important. Like that's a different style. Yeah. So it's kind of like we're in that nurture. People are going back towards the nurture side of life, which is weird because we were always like, people just forgot. Like people were all like Xanaxed up for like the last 15 years. Everybody was just I think everybody's kind of like coming out of that weird fog, which happens to everybody who's in that zone for a while. Like it happened to everybody. Like the first 10 years in Amsterdam, I was in a fog too, like for sure. And then the last 10 years, I was in the kind of like, oh shit, this is like, it is a party town, but I've been here way too long, and it's kind of like it's not progressive, even though it's all about like I was like they got weed, but they're all getting against weed. There was something wrong about the energy, and I think when I came to America, then I thought, oh yeah, it's going to be great, and then it kind of middle of the road in itself. You know what I mean? As far as when I first came here, you could smoke at the shops. You could it was like still had that vibe.
You could sell weed to the shops originally. Remember that?
Yeah.
When we first got here.
Yeah.
You could like grow weed and take it to the store and be like, "Do you want to buy the weed?"
I know it was. See that, and then Cali was like continued that tradition for a long time, awesome. And then it was kind of like weird here when you're like, "What? You guys can sell it?" Like, whoa! It seems so foreign, but it's only just a few years earlier we had the same thing. But kind of the progression of cannabis is like everybody got sort of slapped down. Like we're all staying compliant, right? Of course, as much as we can. I mean, we all like.
That shit sucked.
What's that?
Vertical integration.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Uh-huh.
Like all of a sudden it was like, you're a dispensary, and you're a grow, and you're a dispensary, and you're a grow, and you guys gotta team up in some way, and all your weed has to come from.
And you have to have the same ownership, and all of a sudden you're the guy with the money, and they're just the guy with the brains, but they get equal shares, and it's like that's kind of like overkill of making it like. Now you're just really putting people into a dangerous zone where everyone's just trying to figure out how to get the other person out and buy each other. It was like nothing about it was good, and so but at the same time, we kind of took anything we could get, you know what I mean? Because it was just like, well, it's whatever, as long as it's there's some avenue, and no, I think we're in an interesting time period because it gives like we're finally stabilizing, and hopefully that'll be. Time and but the main goal is to not let CBD slip into the FDA kind of
like the
scheduling.
That Monsanto and GW bill. We got to beat that.
So
I think that a lot of people have vested interests in making sure that doesn't pass. So
right. So do you remember what that whole? Do you remember the website for that and everything? No, for that. Anti-GW.
Can you Google that?
Google GW pharmaceutical bill or whatever it is.
Anti how to beat it.
How to beat it.
It's a pretty simple thing, but like
Yeah, well, those are the kind of things that people got to keep an eye on because they'll slip that shit past us because we're all, like I said before, it's all this kind of like, yeah, you guys got free weed, it's all great, cool. And then at the same time, you're like paying a lot of taxes, and you're like, wait a minute, we're not making it. And then all of a sudden over here, it's like, and by the way,
All that weed is ours.
it's a
We own the
criminal if you grow
trademark.
more than 12
Right.
plants, and this, that, and the other. We're taking everybody's.
That's one thing we've been talking about with the hemp industry is right now it's crazy big money hasn't been coming in yet because of lack of clarification. But once they do, they're going to put money in to push us all out and then try to keep it all for themselves.
Right. Big money there?
Oh, big money in hemp, dude. Canada, like Luke, who came out, he was explaining Canada. Man, Canada's like 12 years ahead of us. They don't have a lot of high CBD here, but like, I mean, hemp would be big ag, and then
found it.
I mean, I found articles, but from last year around this time. No. Yeah, that's all I can seem to find.
Anything they can do.
Yeah, they'll put markers in it, and then they'll make it their plants, and then the whole thing will happen like they did with corn over again, but with hemp.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Because then you'll need Roundup Ready hemp.
Right.
Terrible.
I mean, you will. I mean, they'll make it so you will. They'll like release bugs to kill your hemp, and they'll be like, look, you need to buy Roundup Ready hemp.
Right.
We got it ready already.
Ready.
Yeah. Here, we'll just
Actually,
go
right
see
now,
guys.
right now, what they do is they do a thing called Liberty. It's not Roundup, and so you're like, oh, okay, Liberty, that's cool. But Liberty is actually what it does is it in itself is not Roundup, but it activates. If they already have Roundup, if they're already Roundup in there, it'll like make it work, and if it doesn't, it'll set it up for the next. It's kind of weird. It's like another little like they figured out a way to do it without you saying the word Roundup. So you're like, oh, this doesn't even have Roundup. It's like, no, it doesn't. But it activates the thing, and it turns your plant into a processor on itself. So basically, and then what happens is you eat it, and then you can create your own personal fucking pesticides internally in your own body. So it's like it's kind of one of those things where it just turns on that gene, and it's like we're all. If you eat a lot of GMO corn and wheat and stuff, you probably have a bunch already. Because unless you're sitting at home and making it yourself, you fucked up along the way here, there, and everywhere. Got a bit, And it's like, okay, so that's crazy. Now you're gonna eat something that's gonna all of a sudden turn that shit on inside me and make me create my own pesticides in my own gut. That's where the whole like craziness. Why everybody's getting so fucked. That's part of the whole sick thing now that everybody's got. Leaky gut syndrome and all that, I'm sure you heard of. And that's where everybody gets sick because their lower intestines have all these little pinholes, which are the same pinholes that were in the bugs because that's how they kill the bugs because the bugs eat the plant and they go, oh, okay, got it round up in there, and then their guts dissolve on the inside. And so all of a sudden you're like, okay, so basically it's just it's a fractal. It's a fractal. We're eating the thing that gets the thing that gets the thing and getting the same thing. And
CBD will help that.
Yeah, sure.
I swear, no, CBD helps with leaky gut. That's why people are, I got a lot of Crohn's patients that we work with.
Exactly. And fibromyalgia, right? That's all
kinds of stuff.
That's similar. And then, yep, so
officially.
We are luckily, and that's the one thing too, it's like working around cannabis is like, I feel like, don't really ever consider any kind of medication. It's just always like, okay, so how are we going to do this? Like, what's going to happen? Or are we going to we're gonna make a tea or something. We're gonna make a tank. Like, depending on the situation, whatever it is, you're gonna start with cannabis, not last resort. You know what I mean? It'll be the first round of tests, and then if that works, it's such a better way to go about it than to find out after the fact that you're like, I've tried everything and nothing works, and then all of a sudden you're like, you really beat the fuck out of yourself trying all these medications and all this stuff, whereas cannabis would have done it right out of the gate.
Right.
So it's better just to.
I try and help cancer patients a lot, and they never hit you up till they're like, I'm in stage 4, and the doctor gave me 30 days, and it's like, why couldn't you call me like 6 months ago when you weren't when the cancer hadn't already gotten all over your intestines and your organs and everything, and like your body's not breaking down. Like, it's hard to beat that, and that's kind of that actually sucks. So
right. So
it's hard to.
If you have any issues, try to start with the CBD treatment and
actually
see if
start
that
with
works.
it anyway without any issues,
And
and then you just don't have any issues,
and then you won't have the issues. Exactly. Preventative medicine is always the best.
It's one thing we don't understand in the West.
Right. We're all about reactive and not proactive. So
you wait till you get sick to feel better instead of just feeling better all the time.
Yeah. And on that note, being all sick and tired and feeling like shit. End of the show. Thank you very much. Adam Dunn show. No, but I want to thank you guys, the Rachel and Ryan crew from Armor Lamb Organics.com.
Battle Lamb.
Oh,
It
yeah.
got
That'd be
worse.
awesome.
I got worse. I got worse. Organic lamb. Oh yeah, what is it? I blow it. Oh yeah, forget
Battle
about it.
Lamb Organics.
Battle Lamb Organics.
Thank
Yeah,
you for having us.
All right, thanks. And
Thank you.
2 for showing up, and Nick for being here earlier. and-
Hempin.co.
Yes, and MTI and KTI and all the crew and the chat gang, of course. Next week, I was gonna be in Spanibus, but I don't think I'm going now. I think there's
So you didn't buy you a ticket? James, if you're listening, man,
no,
come on.
James
You
is not
should-
going. James is not going.
You're not going?
No, James.
Wow.
All the people that I kind of thought were gonna go are not going. So anyway, I won't name names because
We'll just have a party here then.
Exactly. It's no
Yeah.
problem. It's no problem. Actually, in the long run, I was like, man, I got so much shit going on here.
Are we having a
I
party
would-
tonight?
No,
It's first Friday.
I know, but we
Lame.
have no rooftop.
You used to
They
be
took-
good at this, man.
I know. But there's no
You used to be
rooftop.
so good
It's
at
a little cold still. Thank you guys. I want to. Oh yeah, Nick, class number 6 maybe now. He's got his own fucking gi and everything. It's funny. It's
You still doing drums?
yeah. Drums on Wednesday,
wish I
jiu-jitsu
played
on
drums.
Monday,
That's a lucky kid.
Tuesday, Thursday. So he's yeah. And the funny thing is with the jiu-jitsu is like he's literally the smallest guy in the whole thing. So, but he's super determined. And there's like shots of him where he's like, you can just tell he's just hanging on for dear life, basically. And the guy's like 3 times as big. But obviously it's not like the guy's really laying into my kid, right? And jiu-jitsu is it's very reactive and less.
Practically
Oh, thanks, man. You don't like my stories? Anyway, thanks, Nick.
I think that means
My beautiful wife,
I think it
Cece,
means
my
you're
little
done, right?
jiu-jitsu master,
He canceled
Nick.
My bad.
And Ace, who's going to be up in town tonight.
Nice.
Ace is on her way up.
there you go. It's a party.
It's a party, exactly, right. And rest of the crew, yeah. And big things coming from my world. Otherwise, I wouldn't be wearing this stupid thing around. So I'll explain later.
I think you just got that. It
No,
looks
I didn't.
new. I think I've never seen you wear a badge before. What year
It's
is it?
old. Look, I had no beard even with it. That's how old it is. Guaranteed dated.
So what it is? Is it good for a year?
It's good for another, 10 months. I had it for another year before this. And this is the third. Like I said, this is the third one I had.
It looked like you. You look like Little Dicky.
Little Dicky. Yeah. And all right, see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for keeping the show going, too, forever.
Hey, man. I
The
had to
2
give you my
show.
weed
It,
card. You have to
too
make sure-
long. The too long
Something.
show with 2. There you go.
There you
Long in the tooth.
Hey.
Shorten the show.
I'll keep you posted. I'll be back up next first Friday.
Next First Friday.
We'll have pictures of the land races as they progress and stuff like that.
Very good, very good. Keep an eye out for TSK and
We have the seed company out, but if you want to go buy the seeds,
Yeah.
go to Seeds Here Now. It's kind of more
yeah,
of an
just
informative site.
look at TSK
Yeah.
on Seeds Here Now.
Yeah, go to definitely. There
Of
you go.
course.
Seeds Here Now, TSK, CBD. Buy that stuff.
All right, see you guys then. Peace. Talk to you next week.
Practically every one of the 40 records being played on every radio station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden
This is a special question. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensibilia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.